What is up, people? Welcome to the return of FNTASIA podcast. It's a new era. I know it's been years. It's actually been like 3+ years since we've done this. But it's good to be back. A couple quick things I want to get out of the way before we get started with the show. Our salutes, to the wonderful, Bala and Shaya. I wish they could be here with us. But I know they'll be watching, and who knows? Maybe, just maybe, we can get them back on someday, hopefully. But in the meantime, we got some new guests, and I'm sure you guys will love them equally as much. Probably not as much as you love Bala, though. But anyway, moving forward, we got a lot to talk about today. We've got, new guests. We've got a lot going on in the world of Fortnite. And just for you to know, for the people listening, it will be available to listen very soon on Spotify. I just need to get all of that stuff sorted out. In terms of where to watch it live, we'll be streaming it live on my channel, Boop's channel, and Coach Harry's channel, sort of on like a weekly rotation. Right now, we're live on Boop's channel, so be sure to, follow Boop, sub to Boop, show Boop some love. It will also be available to watch on YouTube as well at 112K TV, and it will live on YouTube in video format, and then it'll be available for audio listening after that. But enough riffraff. Let's get the boys in. We have got some wonderful people here with me. Some of my favorite people in the world of Fortnite.
And
and Boop.
Okay, this is how we're gonna start it.
I mean, there's always going to be someone that's to butter the joke here, and I'm going to try and make sure that's you as much as possible, Boop. How you doing, Boop? We've started here with you. We're on your Twitch channel. How you doing, my friend?
I'm well. It's been honestly, this has been something I've wanted to do for a long time, and then Levin's cooking up something new, so excited to have like-minded people to talk about stuff and people that know what they're talking about as well. So it's good.
Yeah, there's not as much of that, I feel like, as there should be in the world of Fortnite. Just like people who aren't, like, in everything, right? You have like the people who are good and who play, and you have the people who aren't good but think they know everything and then talk about it. And we just don't have that in Fortnite as much as we should. Coach Harry, you are the prime suspect when it comes to that. Someone who is not very good but knows everything, or thinks they know everything, and talks about it all day. Yeah.
But no, it's going good. It's going good. I think this FNCS, and it's the perfect time to get a podcast, right? I think NA's now looking quite good to watch. EU's looking pretty good. I think there's a lot to talk about every week, so it should be good. It should be good fun.
And you've been back streaming. It's been, seeing you do the reviews and that.
Yeah. I thought I'd start again. It's been a while. Got to come back and show what I'm about. So yeah.
Look, if you are in chat right now and you are, struggling to make money from Fortnite, struggling to get up there, be sure to watch Harry's streams. There's a lot of great insight. You actually won't get much better as a player, but at least you'll know more about the game. And then the one and only, the big dog.
The big dog.
The big dog.
For context, I just typed that for fun, and then I've realized I have not changed that.
Do you not know how to change it now?
You can change it.
I do.
Hold on the screen.
I do not see the option how to change it to resub, but I feel for the first episode, the big dog will have to do it.
I've seen you've been on the YouTube grind as usual. You had a recent video with like the edits tier list and rating the best edits.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Like, where did that idea come from?
So there are two types of people with knowledge. There are the people who have it and share it, and then there are the people who don't know anything and try and figure it out and then share it. You may be able to figure out which of those two categories I fall into, as I have been playing tournaments this season and dying with the worst edit selection you could have possibly imagined. Someone standing on the other side of the wall. Am I making a right-hand peek? No. I'm hitting whatever muscle memory I have built up, which is a wide left, worst you could possibly make. So I decided to go like a deep dive into the topic and said, you know what, let's see what we can muster up here. I'm not gonna lie, helped the gameplay out just by figuring it out. So most of my video ideas come from me just being horrific at the game and then trying to figure out what the problem was.
I will say, I think you're sleeping on the window door edit combo. Like that one is
only people
underrated.
who like the window door edit are people who want to be cool.
It is cool. It's a cool edit.
Infinitely better double window. Window every single time.
Well, look, I'm very excited to have you all here. In terms of what we're going to talk about today, we've got quite a few interesting things. One really big thing, we obviously got a bunch of news and recent updates that we can dive into. The big one, though, we're going to be talking about FNCS. We're going to be giving you guys what everybody always wants to see in the world of Fortnite, a tier list of the teams going into FNCS, specifically EU. We will have and cover NA. I know there'll be people into going, oh, it's an EU panel. They're going to be biased to NA. They don't care about NA. NA is actually more interesting than I think it's ever been. So we will actually cover a lot of NA when we do this show.
The bar's low. Come on.
Come on.
I don't think I fully agree with that statement, honestly. But we'll get the comp report on here if we need some sort of.
When you look beyond
opinion.
just the Peter Bot Puyo, domination at Grim, NA is quite interesting. So we will cover it. Tier lists are going to take quite a long time. So I thought us doing 2 would be incredibly long. So we're just going to do NA EU for now. So let's just get into some of the news, I guess, before we get to the tier list. That's the big thing. I think one of the biggest things that has come out recently that would be interesting to talk about would be the FNCS Global Championships was finally announced. It was so weird, right, for me, because we're on like the broadcast, right, and we're like saying, yeah, they've solidified a spot to globals, and we're like, we don't know where that is. Nobody knows where they're going. They booked a plane ticket. They don't know where to. And so everybody was like eagerly like waiting for it to be announced. And I'd love to know what were your guys' initial thoughts? We're going back to America. Anybody have some early thoughts on that?
Falling asleep at the thought of going to Austin, Texas. Wait, is it Austin? Where is it in Texas?
Dallas.
He doesn't even know.
My bad.
It's all the same, to be honest.
Couldn't go to the better part of it, could we? No. On a serious note, like I think obviously probably a lot of the viewers are from the US anyway. A lot of the players are already there, so like traveling there. Yeah. Or probably a large percentage makes sense. It was in EU this time, also makes a lot of sense. Just for a lot of the EU people, I think the idea, and in particular for myself, of traveling to Texas of all places, on like a 10-hour flight or probably more travel than that with connecting flights, how it is in the US, to go and see it is like just kind of disappointing. I'll be totally real. And from a personal perspective, I made a tweet about this already, just saying that last year the Global Championships had pretty minimal content opportunities, so it's like very difficult. It's like, will I go just to see the event? That would be sick, but I'll be making less content and at the same time also having to go to Texas. So it's like, well, what would I have to spend my spare time doing? It's not like I'm visiting a country I'm really excited about, so it's a bit of a bummer from that.
It is apparently a very popular holiday destination for some reason for European Fortnite players. We're talking the crap about Dallas and stuff, but like people are apparently going there for holiday, Mixon and Paco. But
true.
Yeah, honestly, the only comparison we can make for like the hosting the LAN either North America or Europe is we had Invitational and then we had Copenhagen, and I feel like in general esports a lot of the times crowds are about home favorites, and if we're going to be going to America, the home favorites are going to have to show up. Most of the time, at least from what I noticed watching Invitational last time, we had, Clix, who was obviously the big crowd favorite. And then you saw a very fast shift to when Clix wasn't alive, at least from my perspective watching it, that you didn't really hear as many people, screaming or making noise and stuff like that. So I think the crowd will very much be dependent on whether or not Clix qualifies, because if he doesn't qualify, I worry for the overall ticket sales and stuff, because it's a tough card to sell to.
Yeah, nah. I think around that. It's like when you look back at Copenhagen, the person that usually got like the loudest chance was Thomas. Like Thomas would walk out and it was loud in there, like all the kids running about. You ask them, who's your favorite player? Who's your favorite? Thomas. And even though they didn't quite have the best performance, it didn't quite go too well for them. It was really nice to sort of have that aspect, but there'll be a lot of good NA players there, and I do think you're right though. If Clix isn't there, it probably does hurt the atmosphere a bit. But I'm hopeful that it can be good. Again, it's just like I don't know, when I look at like other esports, I don't know how many other esports where like NA crowd is usually that amazing.
Yeah,
like,
it's never usually that good, to be honest. And in my opinion, I'm a bit disappointed, but I think it should, in my opinion, go to different places, not back to America, back to EU, back to America, back to you. I think growing Fortnite, maybe going to Asia for one, maybe going to, Tokyo or something like that to actually grow the esport would be a lot better than just going America, Denmark, back and forth. Because I think as much as that's probably going to be saving a lot of money, I don't think it's really going to grow Fortnite any further, to be honest.
I mean that money part is, I think, pretty crucial. I obviously Levin probably knows more because he's on the inside. We're not on the inside anymore. But looking at it from the outside in, it looks like the decision to host it in Dallas obviously came together with the RLCS being hosted at the same time in Dallas. And for those that don't know, RLCS is the Rocket League Fortnite version. It's the Rocket League FNCS in Fortnite terms, basically. Like essentially the hosting tournament there, it's all being ran by Blast, and they're hosting in the same venue to obviously probably save on production costs, venue costs, have a 2-for-1 deal over a week to be able to host there. To me, it does look like at least the trend, it's a discussion that we've had a lot within Fortnite, especially on Twitter, is the trend of like the prize pools going down and things like that, and broadcast talent and all the stuff like that. Like a lot is shifting to where it does seem like a lot of Fortnite is going into money saving mode, perhaps, at least from the outside. So I am curious to see if it does move to like a Japan or like a Brazil in another year. But from my side, I feel like I seriously doubt it's ever going to happen, because the logistics of having to fly out a bunch of people to Japan or Brazil and all these Fortnite players visa-wise and setting up PCs and menus feels like a very expensive endeavor that they don't want to take on.
I feel like we don't really know if that's actually cheaper to do it in the US, though. Like, you think logistically it might be, because you'd say maybe easier access to renting PCs, which is probably a big part. Flights, for the most part, like, you're still now having to fly the majority of players from EU internationally to US, and then in the connecting flights, which is always a pain in the ass as well. So it's like, I don't really believe it's much cheaper to host it in the US by any means. I mean, maybe looking at Texas's rent prices might be easy to figure out. Maybe it's cheaper than Denmark, one of the most expensive countries in the world. But at the same point, like, I don't know, I think the more cost-saving good idea they've had is combining it with the RLCS and having it kind of over 1 week. That makes a lot of sense, because you're more just like, you have one production team there already. Rather than flying them, moving them, they're already set up in one space. That makes sense from a production savings point of view. But it's not necessarily, I don't think that side is really a negative, because it's just smart to combine both lands together. And I don't think they're really cheaping out on anything outside of that. Maybe they are, I don't know, but I think there's no real way to like speculate if that's going to be true or not.
I actually want to be paid. I deserve credits. Here we go. 11 also funny, but I want credit. I don't know if you remember this, Reese, but I know we're getting into like old FNCS green room talk here. Do you remember when I said to Zeke once, "Hey, why don't you guys do RLCS and FNCS in a big weekend LAN and call it Epic Fest and like celebrate epic esports games?" And everybody looked at me like, "Oh yeah, whatever, Levin's just waffling again." And now they're bloody doing it. They're bloody doing it. Do you know what I mean? I want what I'm owed. This was my idea. And
what are you looking for? Like, what's your compensation?
Only 25%.
Here's the thing, though, right? 25. Here's the thing. You say 25%, but 25% of esports where it always makes a loss, you'll be paying back.
Yeah,
that, right?
I am funding the FNCS Global Championship. I thought with Blast, right, doing everything, it would open up possibilities for us to do things elsewhere, and I hope that still is the case. Because you look at Blast, they do a bunch of stuff. They've done a bunch of stuff in like South America with like Rainbow Six, and I don't know if they've ever really done anything in Asia from like CS or anything. I can't really remember. I don't think they have, but
mainly League.
I don't know. Like, hopefully we do get to do things, in other places. I am excited though to go to Texas, as much as some people maybe aren't. I actually went near Texas last year, and I had like a Texas barbecue, and it was some of the best food I've ever eaten in my life. And so for that reason, I'd love to do it again. But I do understand like the sort of concerns, right? Like with what you were saying, Reese, where it's like, creators, is it like worth it for a lot of creators that aren't maybe NA already to go? Probably not.
I think the big difference there is more like, if anyone listening did not go to the Global Championships last year and has never been to a prison before, they probably don't know what that level of security is like. Like, you could not go anywhere. Like, you couldn't get into a room. You couldn't do it. Like, there was nothing. So as someone who went for like content opportunities, there was some things that I didn't take advantage of, but for the most part, like, I had less content being there than I would have just been if I just stayed at home. So unless that changes in the upcoming year, which I know Blastraw is looking to improve, so maybe that will be something they change. I don't see myself traveling to Texas as a location to do it. When it was in Denmark and it's like a 2-hour flight, and even if I make less content, it's cool. I can go see the show. That's sick. But flying all the way like 11 hours to Texas to watch the
That's a
show
long flight,
when the
bro.
content may be worse that I make out of it. It's just that doesn't seem like a fair trade. So I think other EU content creators will be the same unless Epic pays for their travel, basically.
I do wonder if they are going to bring that back though, because I think last Copenhagen, one of the things that was pretty successful, although I am like stomping my feet at it because I wasn't invited, but it was the inclusion of like content creators and streamers being in the venue and being in the arena.
100%,
It's a trend we saw with I think League of Legends started it, and then Valorant followed suit, obviously with Riot, and now Epic is also doing it, bringing all these content creators of different languages to the arena itself. I do wonder if they are going to be bringing any sort of creators, because I would assume the work visa situation is tough. From what I've heard, being able to stream and do stuff in America isn't easier. So these people probably would have known from advance, but I don't know.
Sorry, I'm loving some of these comments, man.
What are they?
Wait, let me find the one I just saw. This is so good. Guys, for the way we can see your chats. I think Boop got raided by Chap, so big up to Chap. Thank you for the raid. I'll try and bring up people's message. He's looking for an unban?
Yeah, they always are. They don't do
Don't thank him anymore.
Take it back.
No, but I think it's tough. I think they probably will. I think guys like Amar and that will probably get sent out there again because they have the alternate language. Honestly, Boop, you're kind of just screwed by the fact that you're streaming English.
Yeah.
You just gotta start doing it in Dutch, and then you might get an invite.
But then no one wants to hear that. Have you heard someone speak Dutch before, Levin?
I have.
I'm so sorry to deal with that.
Great. Yeah, it's not great.
Slight tangent. What's worse, Dutch food or Dutch language?
I think the answer to that both of that is Belgium food and language. So
okay. What even is Dutch food?
I swear Dutch food isn't that bad.
I kept seeing it on TikTok. It was just like some of the most hideous looking combinations of watery something and bread.
Watery something and bread. I think that was from the 1900s or something.
Maybe it could be. Yeah.
I actually wanted to bring up a tweet on this globals thing before we move on. Our good friend, who I'm sure will get on here at some point, Destiny Jesus, he had a tweet when this whole thing got announced about safety. He said, hate to moan about it, but things like this are why I'm personally not a fan of events held in Texas. Makes the whole tournament feel unsafe, having signups everywhere saying no guns, etc. And if we look down, I'm scared of Twitter, but there was 170 comments. A lot of people had their say about this. My sort of take on the point he was getting at is I think he's probably worded it and framed it wrong, but the sentiment of what he was trying to get at, I think was logical for anybody that isn't American. Because that's what I noticed, right? I noticed there was a lot of non-American people who were just what? Why would it be a problem that they're saying no guns and safety? There is security, mate. Why is that a problem? And I think it's because a lot of them probably just can't fathom that, to someone who isn't in an environment where there's loads of guns, the rest of the world, even the possibility that there are guns there and that's a normal thing that has to be warned off is not very normal to a lot of people. I
mean, from my opinion, I would not go to something in Tech or in Dallas, to be honest, for the similar reason, to be honest. Even though, because it's for anywhere which isn't for anyone, as you said, not in America, it's a very alien thing that guns are just, they might not just be people roaming around with guns, but from an outsider's perspective, it does sometimes feel like that from what you see on the news and everything like that. So I don't blame DJ for saying anything like that. I totally agree, to be honest. It's not something that I'm sat there going I really want to go, because they're having to make sure I'm having to make sure that if people are there with guns or any form of safety for the players, I'm not 100% sure that I would want to go to anything like that, to be honest.
So I'll play devil's advocate here, because I've been to events in America a couple times now. The last one I was at was last year when I was at the Epic thing that they do for Unreal Engine or whatever, Unreal Fest. And
Epic Fest.
Yeah, no, it's not Epic Fest. That's my one. That's my Unreal Fest.
It's a great name. They should have kept it. Yeah.
When I was there, you're not scared of, like, I wasn't at any point in my mind like, let me,
Yeah.
like, I feel like it's one of those things that probably is like a bit blown out of proportion in that, yes, don't get me wrong, when you're in America, it is more likely than anywhere else, really, right? And so in that sense, yes, it's a risk. But like in most cases, you're not actually like really like scared. Like nobody's going up to like events and are like genuinely like scared, I feel like. I think in most cases it is really blown out of proportion. It's like when somebody says to me, "Oh man, I never want to go to London. I'm just scared of being stabbed." And I'm like, "You're not gonna get that. Like, trust me, you're not gonna get that." Like, it's like that, where it's like, of course, it's a possibility. And when you're in London, it's more likely than when you're in other places. But it's not genuinely something I think most people ever really will have to worry about. Just to play devil's advocate there. Just to play
I think the main point on that is also kind of something I alluded to earlier, where security was so good at Globals last year in Denmark that like I guarantee you security at this event would be insane regardless, you know?
Yeah.
Why is that
For the audio listeners, someone said Levin ain't scared because the bullets just bounce off him. But I do get that. And yeah, you're right. Like security will definitely be like
maximized.
It will be it will be like what Reese will say. It will actually feel like a prison. Like know, the security will be crazy there. So yeah, I don't think.
Have you guys been to the DreamHacks in the US yet, or not?
I've not been to DreamHacks. What are they like?
I mean, I haven't either. I was just curious if you guys, because I would assume it's similar, at least from what I've seen from the IRL streams, from people that do DreamHack streams. Like, there's a lot of security checkpoints, you know, there's bag limitations, all things like that. I think DJ's tweet is probably the worst way of approaching that conversation, because it's just like, I don't like the warnings that, you know, there's a chance of it happening. But I mean, if you're going to America, there's that risk. But yeah, like Levin said, I've been to America a bunch. You don't really feel that gun culture in there quite often. You know, you don't see someone running around with a gun on the back or like a katana on the back or anything like that, you know, like you see on every single Florida newsman post or TikTok. So yeah, I mean, me personally, like, I don't think it's something that would dissuade me from going. It's just the fact that I have to go to Dallas, Texas, 12 hours away to sit in the crowd is probably what's going to be it for me personally.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, enough about globals. Looking forward to globals nonetheless. I'm sure it'll be great. When it comes to some of the recent gameplay changes, I know we're gonna have a bunch of stuff coming in on Friday with like the avatar mythics and POIs or whatever is happening. It's not in the game yet, so we can't really dive too much into that outside of just the typical like Fortnite. Great, they're adding new stuff the day of FNCS. We've been here before. That should be great. Speaking of low-key, the Katara's waterbending one that's already in the game, low-key underrated, but that's a convo for next week. The main one that we can talk about, since it has happened, Epic just completely nuked the yacht. It's gone. And so for Kanada and Cooper, for Axforce and Robin, unlucky, I guess. I don't know really what to say to you guys, but your POI is gone. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it out there. I'm glad. You know, I'm just gonna say it. I'm glad. Fuck the yacht. Like no one wanted the yacht. You know, it's just that it was an edge POI.
It's a good spot. It's a good spot.
I mean, yeah, sure, if you want to justify, but like, it is fine. At this point, like, okay. I used to be on the team of like, you know, we got to keep stuff competitive. We got to keep it great. You know, we can't have these things happening, but like, it makes things interesting, you know, and having your jaw spot potentially be deleted the day before FNCS, you know, it's an extra element of spice to it, a little bit of adaptability. Might be a crazy opinion, but like, okay, maybe we're moving to jaw spots a little bit too much.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I do like the idea of crazy shit happening before, and you know, if that's the bad opinion, then I'll take the bullets.
See,
wait, that's probably the worst.
It might be
not the right word to say.
Like, I don't mind them changing things for FNCS because it makes it exciting, makes it fresh. Just yoinking a POI and just leaving people without a landing spot, that's not a benefit to anyone. We don't gain anything from that. We lose loot, we lose landing spot, we lose prep. It's just, what's the point? Like, I don't mind if they updated the yacht or changed it for a new POI, so at least you had somewhere else to go. But it's just like, oh, we've taken your loot. Now what? Now you're just screwed. That's it. There you go. There goes your FNCS. That you've spent a month prepping your landing spot, and there it goes. It's just, what are we meant to do? That's it. Done. Like, it's just ridiculous.
I think that's the thing for me. It's like waking up as that team, and it's like you're landing so like all the things you've been prepping and like strategizing, and it's just gone. Like all the scrim sessions you've been doing the past month are meaningless.
Queasy has a good point in chat. That before Invitational, we did literally have a vault flying around the map, and it just happened to land at the draw spot where Mr. Savage was landing at during Invitational, you know? So, it does give an element of surprise and excitement, but I think Queasy knows very well how much the map changes affects him, because I think they removed his medal from his katana spot the season that he won. Actually, was it season? Yeah, it was the season that he won, just all of a sudden. So, it's things like that, medal changes, loot changes, it probably shouldn't be changed, but, you know, I do think the map can change a little bit more week to week, you know, maybe not before FNCS, but I do like the element of surprise sometimes.
I think it's just more of a syndrome or a symptom, of the comp is a second-hand effect. Like they change something in the game for the main storyline because Midas is doing whatever. He's not dead anymore, whatever the hell the storyline of this game is. I have no idea. So now it's like, well, the yacht that he was on is also gone, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll be real, at least for the most part, Epic have stopped mid-map changes, like big ones like this, mid-season, sorry, not mid-map. And they've usually kept them to start a season or around FNCS times after. Like massive changes like this, for the most part, haven't been as big as, like, you know, you think back to like 2018 Katowice Royale. Let's just change the whole top right of the map, you know, as the players are flying to the LAN event at the time, you know? So there has been an improvement, but I think this is just a symptom of like, the map change is not like it's, oh yeah, let's just remove it for fun. It's just the fact that the casual storyline has removed it. Therefore, comp is a second-hand factor afterwards, you know.
But even right, like let's say, you know, you're waking up, you're like whatever 13-year-old kid. You wake up and you're like, all right, let's see what the new update is, and it just removes yacht. Like that to me isn't good content. That's just they've removed a landing spot and that's it.
But you're not 12, right,
yeah,
Harry? If you are 12 years old and you are a Midas fanboy, if you watch every top 5 gaming video on Midas's storyline, you are an absolute die-hard Midas fan, and he just vanishes after his lava arrives, whatever the storyline is. You're going to be gutted. There are Levin's cousins out there crying because Midas has disappeared from the map right now.
The Midas stands might be upset, to be honest, but like
it will be. It's crazy.
This isn't content, though. This isn't like removing just the yachts being captured by Epic Games and just being sailed off into the sunset. Isn't content. Like
how tapped in are you to the storyline though? Because like, can you say that?
I can't imagine that's content.
I mean,
bro, you might just not be locked in, bro.
You just don't understand the political, complications of Midas moving from the island. And,
I know.
It's a drastic effect on the Fortnite economy, Harry. Come on.
It wasn't even docked properly. Do you know what I mean? So really, like by regulation, it had to go anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just the timing's unfortunate, really.
It's not sustainable, you know, honestly.
Forget all the green gunk that makes you dash with skulls, 3 times. Yeah, the yacht's not sustainable. I think it's funny though, because I'm with you where it's like, this is clearly like a bigger change based on storyline. And so I always find it funny when like people's instant reaction is like, yo, comp team, like, what's this about, man? The brother on the comp team probably woke up today and was like, yacht's gone? Like, he's the same as you? Like, no clue, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't imagine it being something that is endorsed necessarily by the comp team. Obviously, I can't really speak for them. Who knows? Maybe they planned it. Maybe they said, fucking hard.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows?
What do you mean, maybe? They definitely did that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, if you're Canada and Cooper now, no excuses, just land Grim Gate. Do you know what I mean? It's the perfect reasoning now for you to just land Grim Gate and let's have some real fun in NA. Let's stop this Peter Boyer nonsense. Let's have some fun. If you are those guys, where would you drop now? Where are you guys moving to? Do we actually know? Because I guess did they play? Was there?
They tweeted where they were going.
Yeah.
Where are they going now?
The absolute just worst spot, like just to like literally the yacht just on the shore of the yacht where the like all the scrap loot is down the beach.
Oh, So they
Well,
lose
that's
all
not-
their metal, basically.
Not
Yeah.
not Skivvy and Haris split, like a little bit more left to that, like further edge map.
Ooh.
Wait, is it not the Skivvy and Hurst? I swear it was.
It might be. It might.
I
be.
thought
swear
at
that-
least I saw from the tweet it was like literally the same thing.
It might be
Which-
the same thing. If it's the
yeah.
same thing, it's not as bad. I thought they were just further like towards the edge. So
Yeah.
they weren't taking, you know, the little
The-
bit in the middle, which has like 10 chests.
The worst part about that, at least, sorry. The worst part
Amateur.
about that is, yeah, I'm sorry. This is my first time. The worst thing about that is the fact that, as a spot, I think they were conned by another team at that spot, at least in NA. And then that is pretty much a 50-50 spot. Most of the time, it's not going to take too long. And now that spot to the east is going to make it a lot worse for them overall because, you know, you're sitting there with a massive split that has a bunch of dashes. It's going to be the worst spot to fight at. But it's worked out pretty well for Hurst and Skivvy this season so far. It's, you know, that spot might be good, might not be good. I don't know.
I scavenge, loot that a lot in solo cash cups, and there's just not like I don't know for two people. Just based on what I'm seeing on them drawing so far, that's going to be rough. They seem to they've obviously intentionally marked the two
Yeah.
vaults on this tweet as well to basically show they're just fighting for that every game. But like, I don't know. You're going to have 250 metal basically from that entire spot between two people, and that's it. Because now you've lost out on like both cap metal from the yacht as well.
So would you say then solo cash cup opens in a resub POV is the same as FNTASIA's Grand Finals North
here's the
America
thing.
then? Or?
If I can't find loot there in that area, scrap looting it in a solo cash cup opens game, 30 alive, fifth, third zone, whatever zone I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
In an FNTASIA's Grand Final, someone's going to snatch half that loot off. Like someone will cut that off. So it's like, yeah, it is comparable. Thank you, Boop. There you go.
I was sending you up there for the alley-oop.
Yeah, I just don't know how so that's going to work out for them well. Just land slightly to the east in Groomgate. I think Levin's on the money.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's like really, I would be really triggered if I was them, just because again, it's just like, as much, I don't know what, maybe they just had to completely, switch up and con somewhere else in the end, but it's like, ultimately, your FNCS is kind of ruined. Like this season is kind of just chalked for the most part. It's like, the expectations for them as a duo now probably are much lower, understandably, but we'll see. You never want to count Canada and Cooper out. In terms of things that have happened this week, we had, there's been an event every day. There's an event today as we're recording this as well. There's the Cash Cup. We've had the performance eval that was yesterday with the sort of new victory format. But on the Monday, we had the finals of the delayed Cash Cup that was delayed due to a queue error. And unfortunately, we had even more problems in the delay of the delayed Cash Cup, which were not ideal. Essentially, for people who don't know, there was some sort of, I don't even know what to call this. I don't want to say bug, but basically the servers were getting DDoSed, right?
Yeah.
And not like an individual person was getting DDoSed. The actual server was just blown up and everybody was lagging, packet loss, 100 ping, whatever it is. And the games were more or less unplayable. And it was voided. It was voided on EU. It was voided on OCE as well because it happened on OCE all games. But nobody really what is going on with OCE? I swear, things you could tell me anything has happened on OCE, and I'd believe you because when things happen on OCE, I just never hear about it until a week later. And so yeah, the results were voided. As far as we know, there's not been a fix for this yet. Is that correct? We don't really know what's happening.
We
didn't
saw
happen in performance eval, right?
No, it did not happen in performance eval cup yesterday. Although, from what I can see, I don't think Epic usually has the track record of fixing things that quickly. Although this is probably on top of the major things in the game that are wrong. This is probably at the tippity top of something we've, I think, probably ever had in Fortnite. I can't think of anything comparable to the service literally being able to be crashed at a moment's notice. It's not only being able to have everyone have packet loss, and apparently you don't even need to be in the game itself to be able to cause it, right? Someone externally can get the game or the replay ID and then find the IP of that server somehow, and then the server can just get taken down fully. So it is an unfixed. It is something that has to be completely fixed. If it isn't fixed by FNCS on Friday, then you might as well throw it away because it's going to happen there as well potentially. Although with as many eyes as there is on it happening, I'm sure someone at Epic is in the background looking at the servers live and seeing if everything's happening to it. So might be the worst time to try to do it, but I'm not sure of the ramifications of someone that is doing it, to be honest.
I just think on a more you gave the technical explanation. I just think you got to be dumb as fuck to do that. Like,
Dumb bitch.
like genuinely, because if there are things you can DDoS. Like back in, I'm going to age myself as intentionally here. Back in Halo 2, peer-to-peer connection is what most people used. It's 4v4 game. You join in. Basically, the person with the best internet gets host, and everyone's running off of their server. So if you have host, you can DDoS individual players joining, aka the other team, make them lag, you win ranked, you go up. Essentially how like most DDoSing works in terms of, you don't DDoS the whole server because then everyone's ruined. That's kind of the way you can do it to get your own benefit. But DDoSing Amazon servers, which are affiliated with Epic Games, to the companies with like infinite money and legal power behind them, is just like, you can't. That's just natural selection. I'm sorry. That's like you're choosing to make incredibly awful decisions. I didn't. Will they go to prison or anything? Fuck no, absolutely not.
I don't know.
But there's no way that they will let that happen repeatedly over and over again without either like a cease and desist. Well, not cease and desist, that's for company based, but some sort of legal letter going out to the individuals. Like, they will find who does it. That's not a difficult thing to backtrack.
That is an interesting thing though, because it has been an increase in. I mean, I feel like we always have this every year. It's like there's been an increase in cheaters. There's been an increase in cheaters, but I feel like there has legitimately now in the last 6 months been a legitimate worrying increase in how many people qualify finals. Obviously, we now have an hour between Dual Cash Cup opens and Dual Cash Cup finals. Eval Cups are obviously 10 of those per season in Fortnite and in EU as well. There is seemingly like a large trend upwards of it increasing, and every single tournament, like even more before, every single tweet is, I just died to a cheater, I just died to a cheater, I just died to a cheater. I do think, like, from what we've seen of people being taken down, like there's various notable cheating providers and people within the community that have been actioned by Epic, but it doesn't seem like much has happened to them. It's mainly like, I'm going to cheat to an extent, and then Epic's going to send me an email saying, yo, stop it, and then I make a tweet, and then I'm good,
Well, I'll provide you an alternate theory on that. They have not actually. This is the theory, not that anyone's actually said anything. But some of these people just scam a bunch and then say they've been contacted by Epic and then leave and say, I can't sell anymore because I've. Now, I actually think they do. I actually do think most people have still been contacted. But I did speak to someone who said one of the people who said that probably isn't being legitimate. But it's all speculation at the same time, so you never know. So, but either way, like, there's the biggest problem is there's the cheat, like the people who create them to start with, which is a very small handful of people, right? There's not many people who can consistently actually create a cheat in Fortnite and get away with it. Like, there's a lot of big Discord servers, and they're predominantly all just made by the same handful of people. All these people you see on Twitter are just resellers. They just take that product and resell it on. So, like, you see all these people on Twitter who are like, oh, here's my cheat. It's not their cheat. They're just selling the same shit someone else has for the majority of part. There's literally like 3, 4, 5, I don't know, a handful of people who can actually do it properly. And everyone else is just like making money, profiting off of selling that product. So, like, the goal seems like it's to go for the people who are actually able to do stuff, like get them kicked out, and then that stops the distribution. But I think the biggest issue is, from what I've seen, is they don't seem to be going after the distributors of these cheats. It's just the people who create them instead. It's a little off topic from the DDoSing Fortnite servers, but yeah, as we're going that way,
it's all in the same realm.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just getting distracted by the chat. I did have a chat specifically for you, Harry. Here you go. Harris, you're allowed to speak, mate.
Oh my god! You're gonna let me
let it out. Whatever's on your heart, let it out.
No. I was just letting Reese go on about his cheat sellers and everything like that. But no, for me personally, like, I think I'm just looking for like underrated players, right? And you look through Solar Cash Cups, you see people with good match histories, and then you go watch them and they're cheating, and then you go to the next one and they're cheating. And whether it's walls, which are really obvious, or they're just blatant, just like hitting every shot, every snipe, it's just really boring as someone who actually enjoys seeing up and coming players. You never know really now whether it's like, are they actually cheating or are they just an up and coming player? Because every single up and coming player we have now is just, oh, they're cheating. Oh, we can't trust them. They're cheating. Like, there's so many now. It's getting a bit ridiculous. And for like Duo Cash Cups as well. How many got banned? Was like 8 cheaters got banned for the Duo Cash Cup?
5. It was 5 before the Cash Cup started, and then there were still 3 cheaters in the cash cup itself. And then they got banned, I guess, one by one or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Something
like
that.
I just think it's just a bit ridiculous. I think it started from like OG season, like everyone coming back to the game, the open tournaments. I felt like that was the tournaments that started all of the cheaters coming back. It felt like every game in OG season of the skirmish cups was just cheaters making money because it was just full opens. And then people realized, oh, it's actually quite easy to just make some money, get the earnings, and then if you get banned, oh no, I've got the money. So it's just I feel like from then it started.
And partially to blame, like I said before, like it does seem like people just get a slap on the wrist, you know? Like it's like, oh, these guys are just doing it. If everyone's doing it and no one's getting caught doing it or getting banned or whatever, like no, why not? Like, and I think there was an Acorn tweet that I thought was really interesting, like when Peterbot was absolutely dominating NA Central. It was about NA Central being a mistake. And I'm not sure if he was talking about cheaters specifically in that situation, but it was one of the things I was thinking about when NA East and NA West started to merge together. Is like there's a bunch of people now that are fully like out of Fortnite competitive, right? If I live in NA East, if I live in NA West, I am on 60, 70 ping. There's no point for me to try and Fortnite competitive more because there's these 0 ping Texas players. And now all these guys are going to quit the game. You know, why don't I just start cheating before I quit the game? Because, you know, why not? What's going to happen? I could win a few $100, few $1,000, and then I get banned, and then I have that money anyways, you know? So that is something that is a small repercussion of you know, the decisions that are made. But I do think, yeah, people getting away with it too much is slightly worrying.
I also think Acorn's just Canadian. So his ping's even worse.
Oh, I thought his argument was invalid because it was Canadian. Oh,
absolutely, that also, yeah.
I mean, both, really. You know?
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? You got to thank this, brother. You got sugar daddies in your chat.
Conanize with the 10,000 bits. Thank you, Conanize.
We can actually make Boop's camera bigger if we just do this.
Yeah, just put Boop in the middle.
Yeah, like, we can keep it like this if you want. Hell no.
I mean, I've been looking at my camera the whole time anyways. That actually gives me a better look. Thank you.
Look, on terms of, you know, cheaters and this sort of line of topics, I thought it'd be appropriate to talk about something that you had brought up, Reese Hub, that you said you wanted to talk about when it comes to the world of, you know, the solo Cash Cup 40 bomb race that we had going on. Of course, Peterbot was the first one to do it. And I think the way you put it was like, does it really matter? Like these 40 bombs, like, does it really matter?
I think I think the way I actually worded it, does anyone care? Which was maybe not which is not actually the right way to put it. I do find one of the things I think really interesting about this is from maybe a grand finals analytical perspective of, you know, you see a lot of people who are raving about Peterbot's best fighter award, and he probably still is the best fighter in any regardless. And again, Marius on this side, you see Swizzy, a lot of other people right now also popping off with like super high solo cash cup wins. And it's great for your like average viewer because anytime I make a post about Peterbot, about Marius, any of these, obviously like the average fan now has like a way larger appreciation for it. But I want to know if you guys actually think that'll carry over in any way to FNTASIA's grand finals.
I want Harry to cook here. I know Harry.
Put him on spotlight.
Go on.
I mean, solo. I mean, do they really matter? To some degree, yeah. I think it helps give the player some level of confidence. If you're dropping 40 bombs and everyone's saying, "Oh, you're the best fighter in the world," it gives you that level of confidence. You're going into every fight expecting to win. But when it comes to analytical, like actually gameplay wise, not really. Like it doesn't really change anything. Like the whole perception of this player's the best fighter because they can do it in a solo cash cup with top 11k players doesn't mean anything. But then you compare it to who does it in a grand finals, who does it in the top level lobbies where it actually does matter, you know. Like, I don't think it changes my perception on any player at all. Like, really, I don't think it changes how they're doing grands. I don't think it'll change how, like, just anything about their play, about how good they are, to be honest. I just think it's just a bit of fun, nice to watch. Like, oh, he got a 40 bomb. That's pretty cool. And then we move on with our day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
What were you going to say?
No, go ahead.
I think it's weird because I've recently, I never had like Fortnite TikToks on my For You page, but anytime I do get them now, it's just flooded with like Peterbot is the best or Peterbot is cheating, and a lot more of it is Peterbot is cheating. And I find it just funny how it's like I think it's cool that we had this whole like 40 bomb race. Like it actually made like the cash cups exciting because like you sort of go into every final like, okay, who's gonna do it now? Is it gonna be Marius and EU? Is it gonna be Peter? But would somebody else come out of nowhere and do it? Like it was like a cool thing. But again, there's the implications that are coming from it are just so like stretched out. It's like you got the whole like conspiracy Peterbot narrative where like I think what people are saying is basically because he's doing so good in these cash cups, etc. And obviously he's doing really well in actual comp because of Grimgate and all that. Because he's doing so good in that, but he didn't do God on land. They're all calling him like a cheater, which is funny. He might just be an onliner, but I guess onliners always get accused of being cheaters. And then 2, it's like, yeah, like these guys are the best players. Like Marius is now just the best player in EU, according to half of TikTok, which is like fair enough. He's been on a very hot streak. I think Marius has been amazing right now. But like Harry's saying, it doesn't necessarily translate into what you see in FNTS final lobby. And I'll tell you what, I can't remember who made this tweet. I think it was one of you who made this tweet. But it's like, if you ask me right now, who are the top 3 people who I want in an FNCS final lobby when it comes to fragging ability or fighting ability, I don't actually think either of them are in my top 3, if I'm being honest. So again, it doesn't necessarily translate. You look at what makes somebody good at, fragging in a finals lobby, a stack set lobby of that nature. Sure, they have a lot of the same things that Peterbot and Marius have, right? When it comes to, fighting fundamentals, right? They understand good angles, they understand good timing, they understand good rhythm, etc., etc., etc. But it doesn't mean that those guys are just, better because they got 40 bombs against like actual AI. Like sometimes you watch these videos. Like if I was to pull up like the actual footage of some of these of the 40 bomb that Peterbot got, I swear, I'm like, how did these guys call to finals? I don't know. But then I realize, and I look at my friends list and I see like guys like Resub and Brute playing, and I'm like, that makes sense.
Hold on.
That's how they
Boop
get
is
in.
not qualified.
no.
Boop did not qualify. Let's just make sure. We've all seen the clips,
Oh my god.
I think there's an interesting point I want to add to what you said there before I want to see what Boop has to say about this. But when your answer, I was going to say, you're sharing now. We're sharing the post. There we go.
I want to
get some of these NPCs in. There was a clip. There's one fight in the duo cash cup that him and Poyo was playing where he W-keyed a team, and the team it was like a 1v1, and they literally ran. Like they knew it was them coming, and the comms of the Twitter clip was literally "Run! It's Peterbot and Poyo." like how is this? How bad is the lobby if that's the standard that we're looking at here?
That translates to the pro level as well now, right? Like even the top level pros are absolutely terrified of them. And I think it's an interesting thing because like the perception of a player is super interesting because it shows us how broad the Fortnite community is, right? Fortnite's still the biggest game in the world, I think, I would assume. And like there's so many people that just, consume Fortnite content on TikTok, but that doesn't translate to like Twitch viewers or like competitive viewers and stuff. And all these people, all they get is this echo chamber of, okay, we see this clip. Okay, Marius, he just pooped on Mr. Savage. Oh, and then now Marius, he just dropped the 40 bomb in solo cash cup. Oh, and now Marius, he qualified duo cash cup. And then he got 6th in FNTASIA's grand finals. All these things stack up together. And if that's your only context, then yeah, it makes sense why everyone thinks you're the best player at that point. But I think that the interesting thing is, and people need to realize, is that in order to be a good player in solo cash cups, you have to have a certain level of playstyle, right? Like you have to be, first of all, a lot more 50-50. Like if you, I watch a lot of solo cash cups, so I see Vico, I think is a very good example of this because Vico used to be like Marius. He's very 50-50, he jumps in your box, full mechanics, very PC, very quick. But now if you watch the way that Vico tries to get like a 20 bomb or a 25 kill win in solo victory cups, it's just, he sits on the right-hand peak, he pickaxes on an angle, ready to reset a wall. He doesn't phase in, he doesn't 50-50 in, he doesn't dash in. And that is an element of a good competitive player. You don't take fights where you're going to die 30-40% of the time. You're taking fights where you're going to win the fight 100% of the time because you shouldn't be dying to a bad player most of the time. You don't want to end up like Flixie versus Boop in OG Fortnite.
I played a tournament. I played a duo cash cup with Vico, and what you just said is extremely true. He plays like a competitive grand finals player, the most reliable fighter. It's not that he's going to do what Marius or Peterbot does, and yeah, he could probably in a sense, and try to W key, jump into the box, take risky plays. But like, he's not gonna. He's gonna take a good angle. He's gonna play it slow, play it fight, and make sure he wins, because that's what actually matters, rather than dropping the high elim game. So that's why I kind of agree that I'm not necessarily sure to carry over. Usually, what I think of when I see these massive high elim games, the good performances in cash cups, performance evals, anything, is that it's just like a marker for potential, you know, where you see, if I see someone dropping 41 elims, I'm like, okay, this guy probably, you know, he could probably fight. Just even if it's against drones, I'm just like, this guy could probably fight somewhere. But then how can you translate those skills over into a high skilled lobby where you have to worry about so many other factors? You can't just run around sprinting around in the open trying to fight people. You know, there's angles to cover, there's much better players that'll spray you at the same time. So I think they're interesting on the whole, but yeah, I don't necessarily know how much it'll carry over to grand finals.
So you're not buying into the hype, is what I'm hearing.
No, but I'll make content about it to buy into it.
I mean, you can just pretend like you have that opinion, so that you know the views will follow most of the time.
Nah. I made the video on Marius covering, because I think what's interesting about, you know, obviously, Levin, you were talking about the cheating thing. I think what's always I find really interesting about when people give these guys cheating accusations is that if you watch their gameplay, they're good at so many things that aren't cheating. Like, you know, if you watch Thomas HD play, for example, right? Everyone, you know, for a long time, a few years ago, everyone was saying his aim was so good, he's cheating. But if you watch like the fundamentals of his editing, the angles he takes, like there's so many other things he does that's just so good. And now when you watch Peterbot and Marius, like there's so many mechanical things they do that are just, you can't cheat those. There's just no way you could ever cheat those things. So like, how is it out of the question to the average person that if they have such high skill in all of these other areas, that maybe their aim's that good as well? Maybe they're just not cheating overall, you know?
I think the problem is a lot of the casuals can't appreciate those things.
Yeah, definitely.
So like they'll just never get that, right?
Yeah.
So like Peterbot will forever just be a cheater until he does something good on land, you know?
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, that's what we all
feel a
think.
bit old school.
Yeah.
But that does feel a bit old school with esports though, right? Because like you look at a lot of other esports, it's like if you are an onliner, like instantly you get like cheating accusations in most like esports where like lands are more consistent. I guess just we got so accustomed to everything being online, and now that we do have a couple lands, people are going, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
You stink on land. What's going on here?
Yeah. I don't think we've been in Fortnite long enough to give land the true weighting of like you suck on your onliner. You know, all that matters is land.
I think we've been in Fortnite long enough. We just haven't had enough lands.
Yes, yeah, that's kind of.
So we need more lands, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Two lands,
Mid-year land. Yeah, I wanted to quickly ask, like, how long do you think this hype lasts with 40-50 bombs? Like, where does it go? Like, after this season, after Peterbot getting a 41, is it just keeps going until, like, next season, the season after, and the season after? Because I swear, once it gets to a certain point, people aren't going to care anymore, because people are going to be getting 40 bombs. And
it is entirely meta dependent. I think the meta last season and the medallion changes, it was like the perfect mix and perfect storm of things adapting to where it is possible to absolutely wipe out a lobby, you know, being able to heal up your shield, getting Siphon back now. Like I do think this Siphon medallion plus Dash medallion is easier now to get kills than the old first medallion where Peter dropped 39 elims in. I don't know if everyone has that opinion, but I think it is easier because you have Siphon, you get the shield back and see any of the dashes go on the map. So until Epic has a meta where it's slower or there's a lot more movement, because, you know, we've had 2 back-to-back no movement-ish metas where these poor North American children cannot run away from big bad Peterbot. So it'll be until they change the metas. And once we reach, I'm actually curious, what do you guys think the cap is on kills? Like, what is the top?
Well, in the week before Peter got the 40, Marius looked like he was on for a 50.
Yeah.
He was on like 25.
Insane.
There was like 40 players left. He looked like he was on for a 50. Genuinely, it was something more than that. But either way, it's like, I do think like the 50 probably is possible. But I don't think we have many like cash cups left, right? Until like the season changes. No, we got like 1 in 2 weeks. And then how long after that is the season over? I'm not sure. I don't think there's.
Let's see.
I think we have 43 days or something left of the season, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
If 2 left.
So there's 2 left. I don't think we'll get it in the 2 left. Maybe we get like a 45. It's weird though, because it's one of those things, and I think I saw Ozzy talking about it. It's like the 4-minute mouthing, right? Where it's like one person did it, and then it was like the floodgates open because everyone realized, oh shit, like we can do this now. And I think, you know, in the last 2, we'll see a couple more 40s. And I do think the 50 is possible. And I think if you gave it enough time, we'd have one person hit the 50 and then a bunch of people start hitting the 50s. I just don't think we have enough time to reach that point. So
I think it's just like the least impressive solo cash cup meta ever.
Yeah.
And in particular for dropping, if you're a pro player, this is the easiest meta for you ever to try and earn in. And same thing goes with like dropping high healing games, like especially if you're NA, because NA has like their qualification numbers don't make sense. I'm not just shitting on NA again.
Yeah, I was going to say we're living up to our European bias.
Exactly. No, this is not European. If you look at like the number of participants in comparison to like how many people qual, it's like, I think statistically the worst region of players, right? And then, so they've got that. They've got the players with like awful ping because of like the NA split. You've got the meta where Peterbot's an insane fighter, 0 ping running through everyone with all of the medallions. It's like, it's the perfect storm of like reasons so you could probably drop plus 40 kill games. After the season, I think you're right. It's like, unless the meta is something totally ridiculous, I highly doubt we're going to see like a 40 plus next season.
Yeah, I mean, it is about that standard being set, right? Like Levin said, like someone reaches that threshold, it's going to open the floodgates. I am. The thing is, it's a new thing in EU now because last season a few people attempted it, and you know, Maris I think attempted it off stream. Flixie ended up getting the highest with 37, but it is actually pretty. At least from my opinion, I think it's disappointing how little EU players actually try, and actually how many people in NA Central also actively try. Like realistically, like $100 is a good amount of money, but like the amount of content and the absolute growth you can get from dropping these bombs is insane. It's unparalleled. You know, it's a hack to get 1,000 average views, 2,000 average views during every single solo cash cup is drop a 40 kill win. It's insane. And the fact that more people haven't capitalized on it, you know, when we have people complaining about how much UFN map makers make every single month, it's a lot of Fortnite players are dumb in that aspect.
Do you think they could actually do it though? Do you think a lot of these people who are just complaining about it actually have the ability to drop like a high 30s, low 40 game? Because you've seen a couple like Swizzy, but like Swizzy is nuts, and he's always been nuts. You know, like the people who are doing it have always been like the super successful WKer types. So like, do you think all these people who you think are not capitalizing on it could actually do it if they tried?
Well, there's a few names that pop to mind that, you know, go through it and they probably could. I'm on the boat that I think that like the top level of Fortnite pros, aka the top 25 players, are so far beyond the average Fortnite player, it's impossible for them to actively die to someone in a solo cash cup unless they run into, you know, a decent-ish player. But like the level these guys are at, I think that most people should be able to drop 20 with ease, and then 40 plus might not be possible, but it's still better content than you sitting in the cone the whole time. Like let's be honest.
No, I agree, but at the end of the, as you said, like I think most pros could do it, but I don't think it's actually as many as we think. I don't think it's like, you know, there's 100, 200 people who could easily do it. It's like 20 maybe who could easily drop a 40 bomb without really worrying at all. But I don't know. It makes solo cash cups a little bit more interesting to watch from a viewer's perspective, but it doesn't change anything when it comes to how good a player is, to be honest. It's just, you know, they're just good fighters against bad players. It's just pretty easy for them.
I think that's fair. Good chat. Well, I'm done teasing. I'm done edging you all. Let's get into the good stuff. Let's get into what everybody's been wanting to see. Let's do the tier list. We are going to be doing a power ranking of all of the teams in EU going into the FNCS. Let me get this up. We've got a tier list that has been made. My good friend Nav was the one that hooked up. Shout out to him. I think he's in chat here. So if you wanna shout yourself out, lads, you know, I can get it up on screen for us here. But let's get right into it. We have a bunch of teams here, as you can see. Hopefully you guys can see this well on stream. We are still getting all this production stuff, you know. I'm handling it all myself, so cut me some slack here. But let's get right into it. I think we'll go in the order of the names that are here. So we got S. Actually, let's establish a tier. So S tier, A, B, C, F. I think, you know, roughly how we're doing this. S tier, I'd say, would be for teams you think can win the FNCS, teams who are in contention, good enough to win at the very, very top of the server right now. A tier, teams who again are good, probably you reckon have a good chance of qualifying to globals, right? Because in EU this season, 5 teams get to go to globals. And obviously, if the 2 teams that qualified last year or last major, get into the top 5, then it moves down to top 7. I don't think it'll be top 7 in the EU because of Malabuka and Masasha getting constant, let's say top 6, right? Top 6, top 7 maybe is that range. And then you have B-tier players who I think nailed on to make grands, people who are somewhat decent, but you don't really expect too much out of. C-tier, you reckon they could make grands, you're not too sure about them, but, you know, they're a team that could maybe do it. F-tier is reserved for the stinkiest teams that have no chance of making it into the grand finals in your eyes, or at least if they did, they would be dead rock bottom last. Let's start. Let's start.
Yeah.
Anybody want to get started with Crimson Noms?
I think you should start with the name at the bottom level. You know, might as well get it out the way real quick. You know, like I think you're the most strongly opinionated on this cast. So you know, why don't you start at the bottom there real quick, and then maybe save it to the end.
Strategy ruiner you've just got here, man.
I did it just to throw him under the bus at the start.
Mr. Savage,
we can save it. We can save it.
My good friend Savage and Mongrel.
Don't ask me.
Okay, we can save it.
Let's save it for a bit. Let's save it for a bit. We can save it for a bit.
Okay.
Cringe and Noms. I've been a fan of Cringe and Noms this season from the things I've seen of them. You know, they're one of the few teams that sort of streams almost everything. And the joke I always make with my stream is that every time like we see them, they're like actively like bossing the lobby, like super aggressive. You know, you see them taking a lot of fights. I actually think they're pretty all right. I don't know what the rest of the people think about their level this season.
They are the W key specialists, let's say, in opens. They're the team that always single-handedly without fail is able to drop 35 to 40 kills per game. But if you do put them in S, you will be blocked by Queasy, so be careful. I'm going to say that right now.
I think there's lots of things that get you blocked by Queasy.
I think C is fair for them. I think C or B.
Wow.
I don't know. I think in a Grand's lobby, I'm not super convinced by them. I think, as you said, in opens and in the round, all the rounds, they'll probably come top of, or near the top of the series points, right? I would have no doubt in my mind about that. But am I convinced about them? Uncon, Lavish Lair, if they get Uncon, Lavish Lair in a finals lobby, I'm not too convinced.
I think it's valid. I would say B, because even last season, while contested, they still managed top 25, 26. After getting I can't remember what the score is off spawn, but it was definitely not in their favor. So the games they did manage to win, they at least managed to do something in, which is good. And given they're a relatively new team, it seems like they're continuing on an upwards trajectory. So I don't see them missing grands. So I don't see them putting them in F, you know, or bottoming out. So I think B tier is good, because I could also see them easily coming into a top 10 if they have a good, essentially like couple days of finals.
Yeah, I agree. There's no chance they don't make grands. It's just whether or not they do well in grands is draw spot, and I think experience, because they're not as experienced as the other teams on this list.
100%.
I like B for them. I like B for them for now. Belusi and Vortex. Someone want to get started with Belusi and Vortex? Any thoughts on them so far this season?
Are they? I think they're still landing the same spot as last season, right? They're still landing.
I believe so. They're one of those teams, like, did they make grand finals last season is the question you ask, because like you don't really see too much of them, but I think they did.
Belusi did, and he came the 41st.
Yeah,
with Gabex,
so
and
it seems like Vortex and Belusi. It's a duo that was together back in chapter 4. I think they landed at the quarry spot. I forgot what it's called, but they had relatively decent success. It's just whether it's a question of, are they more experienced than the Cringe and Noms in the finals lobby, which I'd say is probably yes. But for some reason, I'm not on the boat of having more faith in them making grand finals. But this format is so hard to dictate, because this format is like, if you're not making grand finals, you're actually really doing badly.
That is another thing, right? With like the nature of the format means like, before, when you try to like rank these teams, like you can almost do it strictly off of what you've seen from them in a set lobby. Whereas like, you know, you should, like, you look at a lot of these teams and like you should be making it to grands. And from what I've seen from Belusi and Vortex, I do see a world where, like, I can see them making it to grands. How well they do in grands with where they're landing, I'm not too high on right now. Like, there's not enough there for me to really give them too much credit, but I can see a world where these guys make it to grands.
I was going to say, Yeah,
I think
I
C
I
would
think
probably be
same.
fair for them. C
Yeah,
would be fair for them right now.
Yeah, their
Low
spot's
C,
not
I
bad.
would say right now. Yeah.
Yeah, the spot's not bad, to be honest. It's got a slight buff this season with forecast more often spawning, so it's definitely a better spot than last season. And I'm pretty sure they are the only good team landing there, which does obviously help for open rounds and upper bracket when they get to it. So
Mhm.
I could see a world where they get, like a 30th in Grand or something like that, and they move on with their day. Not a bad placement.
Okay, then we got Skydune and Shakos who are landing close to those guys, right towards the east of those guys. Anybody have some early thoughts on Skydune and Shakos so far?
I will say I've not watched them this season at all, but I have not really ever rated them too highly in a grand finals lobby going all the way back to like chapter 2. I remember anytime they'd basically back in trios getting into a finals, it was kind of just like they're going to be a bottom 10 team at that time. I don't know what they've been like recently because I have not been watching.
14th last grands, 14th.
Lovely. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, on the come up now, but that was always my predisposition from before. So
I'd say the same as Cringe and Noms, to be honest. I don't think they're much lower than that. Maybe they're slightly worse than Open, so maybe getting to Grands is harder, but would I see them doing better than Cringe and Noms in a Grand Finals if we're using that as the bar? I probably would, just because of their experience and the amount of finals they've been in. I think they just have a better experience for playing under that sort of pressure. So I would put them be maybe just above Cringe and Noms, but I'm not. I'd be swayed either way.
There's a lot of those
Interesting.
teams.
Okay.
There's a lot of those teams that are like middling. Like you don't expect them to ever win an FNCS Grand Finals, but they're good enough to make Grand Finals. And that's just the nature of a lobby. Like someone's gonna have to get 30th, 40th, 20th, whatever, and not compete for the top levels. I think Skydune and Shakers just like they're just good pros, but like middle of the pack pros. So yeah, definitely I agree.
Okay, let's move on. I think we got. You put them ahead of. I actually put them.
I would say below.
Yeah. I was gonna say below Cringe and Noms, but we can adjust it later. We can for now we're putting people in categories, and then we'll move it and adjust it once we've got everybody in. Vexy and Pachawa. How do people feel about Vexy and Pachawa this season? Where are these guys landing?
I don't know.
That was too many names on it. It's hard to find anyone.
It's probably the same spot as where they landed last season, to the north of Classy Courts, I think, or slightly below it, I believe. So this is the team, for those of you that don't know, that I think had a bit of controversy last FNCS because they were allegedly trading Surge with Classy Courts.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
It's a team that, again, sweeps under the radar sometimes, but Vexy, it's actually funny. He landed the same spot, like top right of the map in chapter 4. That same spot, that ugly spot to the north of Bastion. He landed the exact same spot. So something to do with north side of the maps that he loves. Middle of the pack, I'd probably put them into B as well. But
both these guys have made like grands quite consistently, like over the past year. So like I think they're like probably a safer team to make it to grands. Not necessarily just through like being purely amazing, but just like I don't think they necessarily will struggle to make it to grands. Again, what they do there,
they came 38th last grands.
Yeah. I mean, just scrolling through Pachawa's, just from a couple, like 40th, 25th, 48th, 38th. So it's like a pretty consistent bottom 25, but making grands, which is a good start. There's not a lot of teams that we can say are surefires to make it and then not do so well, but I think that puts them in CU.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I think that's fair. We'll leave them here for now. Mappy and Cheating.
These guys split apparently.
I think they just split, even though they were doing well.
Split. Well,
F,
thank you for that. It has to be an F, right?
F for split.
It's like quite literally not possible. Clement. Okay. Clement's been He's been streaming a bit this season, hasn't he? He's been a bit on the content grind.
They haven't been doing too bad this season, I don't think. They made Duo Cash Cup finals, obviously. Well, they've made a lot of Duo Cash Cup finals. That's getting rescheduled for the third time. But no, he hasn't been doing too bad. I think they're decent to make grands. I think it would be unfair to put them in B or maybe even C with the other teams. Like if you look at the other teams and C, like Vexian Bachawa and Belusian Vortex, I just put them a tier above Sapphire and Clement. Even though Sapphire did make anyone
Wow.
even though Sapphire did make Grands last season, he landed Moneymaker base last season in Grands. So he might be someone who's on the come up. I haven't seen enough to be able to put them in the same tier as, some of the other teams we have here.
There's an interesting trend coming up with these old guard Fortnite players, Clement, Anderlex, Floki. Other Floki isn't playing with like these new guys, right? Sapphire, Sato, and I don't know how old Vox is. Astro, Vox, yeah, all these guys. Like all these guys they used to place very well, and I think French duos have notably done pretty poorly in the last few seasons. But it's interesting that all these guys are now picking up these young French creative players and doing it with relative success. Because I don't know, I don't really remember the last time I saw Clement do that well in FNCS at least.
I just remember back to chapter 3, just him 50-50ing at Lecce off spawn for like every single week of every season over, and neither of the teams doing well.
Yeah. In the words of Destiny Jesus, let's save some time. Pixie and Wox, an interesting one. Oh, Harry with the instant.
They're good. They are good. They are really good to watch. Like, what do
you like about them?
I think their end games, they're really nice and like they're aggressive for their refreshes. And I think they're just the way they play is very consistent. You watch their games and you can see consistencies throughout their gameplay. You don't see like one game they're doing something random, the next game they're doing something random. And for players like Pixie and Wox, who we see as pop-off players, to see that level of consistency in their end games is something we've all been wanting to see out of these type of players, right? Where, we know they have the talent, but it's about whether they can actually be more consistent and have those consistent, 7, 8 out of 10 performances, not constantly going 10 out of 10, then having a bad week and then a good week. Like having that consistency, like I think this team is doing really well at the moment.
Their spot is quite good as well, right? Like up towards like that sort of the slumber yard with the weapon cases and all that.
Top right, yeah.
Noxie been doing really well in NA. I think that spot is a really decent spot. Like you sort of get like everything you need, and you can fish there as well. So you got a lot of whites for playing with Storm, and like you said, Pixie and Wox, I think they've just been really consistent in everything we've seen from them. So I think they're quite decent as well. I think that's fair.
It's funny that the perception of like Wox as a player has changed a little bit in like the last 6 months, because when you used to say Wox in the finals lobby, you're like, these guys don't know how to play Surge. They love the W key. But like the last 3 to 6 months, Pixie and Wox have they played a lot of games. They played a lot of scrims. They've been working super hard to like learn the games. I've never seen those guys play. At least the Swedes don't really play too much of scrims. So the come up and the improvement from them has been very evident. I'd say, I'd put them, I think, at the top of B for sure. I don't think they're winning FNCSs, but if they get a top 10 in this FNCS, I'll be 100% not surprised.
It looks like they're just improving, and 22nd last season is a good place to improve from.
Yeah.
Couldn't you see them qualifying to globals?
Yeah.
Yes, but I wouldn't put them into my top 5. I think they make a top 10 from like next season probably, but top 5 is you have to have a lucky run. I think in FNCS to get top 5, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think it's unfair putting them with Cringe and Noms and Sky doing Shakeoffs. Personally, I think that maybe not in A, but I think they're
maybe bottom of A. Yeah,
I think they're a tier above Cringe and Noms and Sky doing Shakeoffs
for sure.
I'm with Harry. I think they are above these two teams, and for that reason I want to put them higher, but again, we'll see once we start adding more teams in this realm. We'll see. We'll see how it feels. Wheat and Shamoki.
They're not bad. They're there.
It's the only good team that kind of lands Grand Glacier, other than Nathan and CZB, from what I've seen. Not that Grand Glacier is anything special this season, but it's one of those things that, we've seen Swizzy come up and be absolutely ridiculous now. Shamaki in that duo when they used to play together, he was more of the passive player, not much as the fragger, but him coming up with Wheat, I think they've this is like my underdog team, of this season. Like this team could probably get like a top 10 if they're uncontested and have the right circumstances going across them.
Well, the question, who's the star in that team though? For a little bit of interest, because if you're saying obviously Swizzy is like in my eyes as an individual player, he could be like one of the best on the region, full stop. Do you say Wheat is similar to that?
He is, yeah.
Where he's more the carry of the duo?
I don't know. I see. It's I don't. You don't. I don't know enough about him to
Yeah, okay.
say that,
Because
so.
I've historically seen. I've watched a bit of Shimoki's gameplay with teams from different regions because obviously he's been multi-regional winner and stuff like that. Has a lot of talent, but it's always seemed like he was by far maybe the less talented on the teams he was playing on. So I always wonder, like, with those types of players, I always want to see how much like longevity they often have. Maybe I'm just pulling random pieces of information together I've had, but
I don't know if this is too rash. I actually think they're quite good. I actually think they're quite good. I think for the most part, their team I expect to see in grands.
Yeah.
Their team I expect to see doing pretty decent in grands in some games, right? Obviously, it's over the course of 12 games, there's always a couple teams that have like 2 or 3 game stretch runs where they look like, oh, what are these guys doing? I could see a world where, again, you talk about like the firepower of that team, right? And the questions around that. I'm not sure what Wheat's level is at, right? I'm guessing it's not as great as Swizzy. But even with that being said, I think these guys definitely can be a team that's probably in that top of B area. Is where I'd put them at.
Valid.
They're definitely good, and I think Wheat is definitely underrated. Like, you watch their gameplay, and I watched a bit last season from what they were playing, and there was a lot of solo clutches from Wheat and a lot of good performances and pop-offs from him. He is definitely a decent player, and he is maybe not the level of Swizzy, because Swizzy is just crazy.
Swizzy's insane, yeah.
Yeah, but he is definitely underrated in comparison to what a lot of us think, because obviously we don't watch a lot of their content and their games and that sort of stuff.
Also, one last thing I just saw in chat. I think these were the guys that won Cash Cuts back to back, or was it Wheat and someone else that won back to back?
Yeah, last season they won back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they had that sparkle last season, but didn't actually fulfill to expectations in the big leagues.
They came
Most people do
17th
that
in
when
grands.
when they've absolutely flying Cash Cups. Like, how often does that actually translate? Unless you're like a tier 1 team,
Mm-hmm. Not often.
Shows potential, kind of like we talked about earlier for some of the other stuff.
They got it. They got Spark.
Yeah.
All right, well, on to the next, Nathan and CZB.
Double controller, that's always an interesting one to try and tier.
CZB's keyboard now. I swear.
Is
CZB. Yeah, CZB's keyboard, yeah.
Okay, I take that back then. There we go.
Yeah.
It's funny because all I've heard about CZB is the sentence, CZB is the truth.
He is. Yeah.
Who did that come from? Man?
I'm fairly certain that came from Pink at one point, because when
CZB is definitely good, and Nathan they've just been doing well. If you look at their placements last season, they were just qualifying to everything. Once they started playing together, they were just qualifying to everything. They qual to grands very comfortably. They've been again qualifying to things this season very comfortably. I just feel like they are just consistently just there, and in the not in the conversation for winning things, but they are constantly making top 20s, top 15s. Just I think the main problem they had last season was their landing spot was awful. They landed the what's it called? The place top
north of Pink.
Yeah. The one with like 13 chests. They landed there last season, and I mean, there's just not a lot you can do from that spot, to be honest. In grands, you are locking in a bottom 25 from that spot. But they are definitely a team to watch out for. I'm a bit interested by their surge, because I still think that's something they can improve on from grands lobbies, but they should be making grands comfortably in my eyes.
They have the unfortunate issue of not being well known, which is why a lot of chat is saying like CF and all that things, because you don't really know them. The most claim to fame that they have, which I hate, is Nathan used to be Archie's duo. It's like he's Archie's duo, and then they made, I think, Heats one time, and then like that's it. That's the extent of what they had. I think it's a team that you don't really know why they do good and why they make grands, but they do. So they experience-wise, they're building it up slowly, and they're looking decent, but they're making grands probably.
Yeah, I'd say they're making grands.
All right. Let's put them in B for now then. Janice and Flixie, of course, these guys were sort of favorites last season, and it all sort of went tits up when they bullied everybody out of their POI and struggled for Surge. How do we feel about their chances this season at Reckless Railways?
They'll probably have the same problems with Surge as they had last season, unless they get contested. So it's kind of their own problem. They cause their own problems that no one wants to contest them because they're so scary off spawn, and now they get no Surge. So it's like, because they don't want a team to land what it used to be. It was a team would land like the east side of Reckless and then play for Forecast occasionally. You know, there's like 13 chests there. You could play for it. But then obviously Janison Flixie wants to key them every game. So now they just have insane loot, but nothing to do with, you know. So they should make grants, obviously. How well they'll do, it depends. I think the Surge meta is a little bit different. So they can see a lot of benefits from the DMR meta, being able to play a lot more positions from Reckless than having to go and actively get Surge as you had to pretty much last season.
Yeah.
So I'd probably still put them in A. It's harsh to put them any lower. To win is, I don't know. I haven't seen enough to be able to say they'd win.
Yeah, I think the benefit from this season's meta a lot more. So firstly, being more of a mid-map team, and now with the implementation of the DMRs, you're right, Harry, where they can position themselves better in a mid-map spot for Surge. So they're kind of up on that front. I think one of the sneak buffs to them this season really has been the change to the forecast towers as well, because the fact that the forecast tower to the east of them is no longer such a high guaranteed spawn rate means that they're no longer going to have to keep trying to. They kept like pushing into there for Surge to try and like third party that fight. That fight is horrific to third party because there's like 900 boxes. Like the amount of damage they're getting was so minimal from that last season anyway. So I think hopefully with the lower spawn rate of that, they can actually just use that time to go and figure out a better Surge strategy instead. So I think it would be criminal to put them anywhere lower than A.
Yeah.
Last season we would have easily slapped them in S, no doubt, in my mind. But this season, I mean, I don't know based off of all of the other factors, to be honest.
They have it all. Like they have uncontested jaw spot. They have a very competent fighter in Flixie. They got the experience of Janice. They had a mid-map jaw spot, and somehow it all goes to shit still when it comes to FNTASIA's Grand Final. So it's a big question mark for that team as to if they're even like a contender for top 10. I don't know. They have not looked good. Like they looked good last season. They looked like game winners every time, and then it just cracks for some reason.
I agree.
I think it'll be interesting to see, because obviously you mentioned like the lesser spawn of the forecast tower means like there's less like shenanigans going on there. But I feel like with the bunkers, like with the bunker that's a bit further south, there's now like slightly extra shenanigans added. So I feel like there's still a lot of shenanigans. My like biggest thing is just that, one, again, like Harry was saying, the Surge meta is better for them in that they don't have to like run about as much. And so I think like that probably plays into their favor a bit more. And in that case, right, with there being still some shenanigans like going on sort of everywhere around them, like I think they're in like a good spot to really be all right with Surge, right? As long as they can get good loot, which I think they will out of Reckless. And so I think A is a fair spot to put them in. Like Boop's saying though, I don't like, because when you're saying A, you're like I said, so you're saying a team that you think could call for globals at top 5. I don't know if I'm there with them, but it feels wrong to put them with the teams below them.
We need another tier. We need another tier.
If they came top 5, would you be like, "Oh, that's a shock"? You know,
I'm not adding another tier.
No, but it's because like Nathan CZB are not Weed and Shamaki level as well. You know, I feel like they're like a tier above them too. We need like an A- and an A+.
Oh, we're not doing A-.
We're not doing this, man.
Make an E. Make a D, make an E tier. Just move some players down. Make them feel worse.
Yeah, we could.
We'll see. We'll see if this keeps becoming a problem. If this becomes more of a problem, then we consider adding another tier. But for now, we'll leave it like this. Cade and Diox, I'll be honest, man.
They fucking suck.
They're fun to watch.
Like, I don't know how these guys even make grands as much as they do.
They make grands every single
like I don't know how though. I don't know how.
So I'm gonna make a comparison here, right? You see, when I was watching back the Global Championships games of Cooper and Miro, right? And it's the laggiest, messiest tournament you've ever watched in finals. And they're 10 HP and they double spray into someone's box. I'm like, oh, this is it over. And then they just do it. And somehow they do it. And then you watch the next game and it's the same thing. They're in like a shambles position. Somehow they manage to get in and win again. And I see this team as the exact same. It's like they're teams who are just always in a messy spot, but they just somehow do it. And then they get like 13, 14 Elim games like they got a bunch last season. I think it would be disrespectful to put them into C or F. Definitely.
They've made the last 4. Well, Dark's made the last 4 grands.
Yeah.
So
he doesn't play. Like, what the hell is this?
you turn up, you watch their gameplay, it's a mess, but they drop 15 kills and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
They were leading the FNTS at some point last season. They
That's
were in the first
I know. Wild sentence you
at
just
that
said
point,
there.
I was already giving up on EU and like moving to NA at that point. No disrespect to them, but yeah, it doesn't make sense. But every time I do any sort of tier list, Dark shows in my chat like, bro, don't count me out, bro, don't count me out, bro. and he does, and I always do, and he always makes it still. So
you should believe in him. You guys are like Dutch like brothers. You gotta like back your own people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think we claim Kiro. Diox maybe a little bit less.
Okay, but I think with just their track record, it feels wrong to not put them as a guaranteed team to make grands, and so I'm gonna put them in B.
100%.
Pink and Vico. How does everybody feel about Pink and Vico this season?
They're definitely still a very good team, and I really rate Pink as an IGL. I think he's really good. Like watching him develop as an IGL, he's just becoming better and better every single season. You watch him play, but I don't know if they've been doing too hot this season at this moment in time. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one because with the way most pros are at this moment in time, but how much time there is until like lower and upper bracket, realistically, if they're not doing too hot at the moment, they're probably going to make lower or upper bracket. And by that point, they'll be on form. So it's hard to say.
I think they just have, I don't know what they've been like this season, to be completely honestly. I just think they have too good of a track record of success over the last 9 months to just say they're not an A tier at least team.
Yeah, I agree.
The thing is, Pink and Vico have all the makings and the placements of an S tier team. But then when it comes to like being consistent and showing up, they sort of fall flat a little bit. Like the consistency at Copenhagen was not great until they had that one game that they won, and then they qualified to the finals of Copenhagen, and then there was sort of middling performances from there. Last FNTASIA Grand Finals, I think they didn't make top 10 in the first day. Day 2, crazy comeback, and then they end up being 6th or something, something crazy. So I think Pink and Vico is like the biggest reason for the potential having to add another category, because I think Pink and Vico are heads and shoulders above Janus and Flixie, but in my eyes, I don't see Pink and Vico ever winning FNCS this season. Like this, they just don't look they look good, but not on the level of the other big boys at all.
Top of A then.
Top of A. Far top of A though.
Yeah. I'm it's weird. I think I'm a bit more biased to these guys naturally. I think they're good enough to win an FNCS. When I look at them individually as players, I think Pink's one of the best IGLs. I think Vico's been playing like crazy recently. And so to me, I'm like, with the right things working together, like, why couldn't they win an FNCS? Then I look at what happens in like the few tournaments we have, right? Fair enough, we haven't had as many tournaments, right? With the cash cuts being cancelled, everything, whatever. But I look at what happens in some of these tournaments and I go, ooh, I don't know about that. Like, there's a lot of times where they might be conned and then things look a bit off. There's times when they maybe don't get to play for forecast, right? Because if they don't get a forecast and I'm looking at the game, I'm like, ooh, this looks a bit, stretched here in that sense. I think in a scenario where, forecast spawns a lot for them, they don't really have to worry about being conned too much. I think they're a contender to win the thing. But then again, it's like, there's not been much to go off this season that says that. I think top of A is fine for now. I think they're another reason why we maybe need to add another tier, like you're saying, Boop. So we'll see. We'll see how many times we run into this issue. We'll see how many times we run into this issue. Comeback and Blaha. I actually don't know much about this duo this season. I don't think I've watched or seen them like at all off like memory.
They're landing the campsite south of Grand Glacier. The one with like the little cave underneath, that sort of areas where they're landing at the moment. They do look okay this season. They look pretty good. Okay. They're qualifying to, I think they qualified to maybe 1 or 2.
They qualified 1 dual cash cup, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they're a bad duo. I think they are looking pretty decent. But again, you can mix the next 2 together because Fanai and Moneymaker are also now landing that spot. So it depends who we think is probably going to do better out of the 2 of them. To be honest,
Yeah, the middling Polish players are having a bit of an like an identity crisis. I feel like because when we had Mixon and Blaha play together, they were absolute gold. They were so good together. Like everyone thought they were the next Cami and Seti, and now they split. And now we have these like tier 3, tier 2 Polish players all trying to find the new identity with new duos. We have Comeback and Blaha, Yapko and Paco trying to find duos and trying to with not too much success as well. And I think Comeback and Blaha are also struggling from that same thing. They can't find much identity in a duo, can't find much consistency. And I think every season people just keep splitting and going back and forth and stuff. So I don't rate them that highly, especially because the Joss brothers are also pretty trash, I think.
I'm not too sure where to put these guys. I just haven't watched enough of them this season. I mean, their spot, I don't know if I'm like I don't know if I'm like a big fan of that area, but yeah, I really am not sure where to put these guys. If you guys can see them making it to grands, like dead on, then yeah, but I feel like
It's
this is
I
looking
wouldn't
like a
put money
sleepy
on
team.
it. I'll be looking
Yeah, like
No, I don't think so. I think when you watch them play, like they're not bad with the way they play Surge. They utilize their pads a lot. What they basically do is try and use the pad to get deep into zone and then play a position. Like you'd see in a couple of games with Cheetah and Trulex, you'd see them box up next to them in second zone and restored reels, even though they're landing edge map. That's kind of the way they're trying to play Surge, is kind of use the pads to kind of just get ahead, which doesn't seem like a bad thing, but I don't really know how well they'll do, especially with F9 and Moneymaker, and it depends how well they're going to do as well, to be honest, because if they're contesting each other in the upper brackets, you could end up in a world where neither of them make grants, to be honest. So who knows?
we'll put them towards C for now.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there. For now, Moneymaker, I'll put them in a similar category. Giras and Chari, what are you thinking?
They're the truth.
They're the truth. They're the truth.
They are the truth. They're really good. They are really
the
good.
truth.
They are. Like Giras is crazy good. Crazy good. And their spot is also pretty good for the meta as well. Just bang smack mid map. And yeah, I just think they're not bang on to, win grants or anything, but they are definitely a good duo. Definitely one to watch out for.
Boop, anything you've seen from them in scrims you like?
Not too much. Again, one of those teams that you don't see much of them, and then they end up having like a pretty decent placement because they're pretty bang on consistent. I mean, they're landing the spot that not many people I think are landing at as well. So, I'll put in the middle of the pack in thingies. I don't know if they're the truth yet, but I think they're pretty decent.
I like this team. I think mid map this season is obviously good. When they're landing at the lake, they have the pad right, which is nice. From what I've seen from them in games through like other people, which is like I see them like in the lobby with other people and I see things happen. There's nothing really that's made me think, oh, these guys are terrible. Except for one time, I saw there was one game I watched of Vico where he absolutely just like pieced the fuck out of Giras. And I was like, and I remember saying like, whoever that was, they are a fucking AI. And we checked replay, it was Giras. I was like,
Jesus.
But for the most part, I think those guys are decent. It's interesting because Giras is another one of those players who for like the past year, he's just like a nailed on like grands type player where like you're good, you expect to see him there. And there's a decent chance they probably win one of the 12 games, right? Like, you wouldn't be too off in that regard. So I think like a high B team is like probably where they're at right now.
Literally exactly just what they did last season. They won one of the games.
Yeah. Like they're sort of nailed on to win like one game, you reckon, in most grands. Trulex and Chicho.
Ooh,
where do we is this our first S tier team potentially?
I'll say yes.
Yeah.
I think had it not been for last season, they would be S tier every single time. Like, they sucked last season for, multitude of reasons, but the reality is they've already come back, won the only cash cup we have to use as a reference this season so far. So it's not a hard assumption to say that these guys probably are not an absolute shooing in to win or at least top 5 in qual.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you think about EU teams and consistency, I think they are probably one of the most consistent Storm Surge teams we have in EU. They're making how they're doing in end games You know, some games they're just not getting enough refreshes, whatever, right? But they are
Mhm.
making every single end game. They are never struggling with Surge. They are just so consistent. You can go back to Chapter 3 when they were playing. There was brands where they're making 10 out of 12, 12 out of 12 end games. And it was just, you know, the end games were the problem. This is what they've always been. It's just so consistent with Surge. When they're making a grand, you can't really put them anywhere below a top 10 or top 5. And with the meta, how it is this moment in time, you know, I think they're in the conversation for winning for sure.
Maybe a little bit too consistent with Surge, you know, the landing to the north of Tayson and Venno again, you know,
what is this,
near
the FNC Global Championships or
yeah,
something?
you know, there might be a few sky bases there, but yeah, I think Trulix and Chicho, as in Harry's words, are the truth. I think a lot of people do put them in a category because they didn't make grand finals one season. You know, one season they made grand finals in arguably the easiest format to ever make grand finals in. I think in the history of Fortnite, at least in my personal opinion. You know, but you know, sometimes it happens. Sometimes you fuck up and you don't qualify a grand final. It doesn't happen often, but you know, we've had Queasy and Venno not qualify grand finals. Maybe it speaks volumes about the talent pool within Europe. I love you. So I think Trulix and Chicho, you know, they won a Cash Cup, they won a game of Eval Cup. Like Epic just keeps trying to nerf their draw spot because they know how broken it is. They took away the medal, all of that stuff, and they're still succeeding to some extent. The mid map, I will be shocked if they're not top 3 this FNTS. Although that might be a bad clip to jinx them. But
I think they've been the most consistent team I've seen in terms of like when you look at game plan strategy. You can actually tell every endgame that Trulix and Chicho are in without seeing their names. If you just scroll and look for a team with a bunch of medkits playing Storm in like third moving, it's definitely Trulix or Chicho every single time. And so for that reason, I don't see a world where they are not again like qualifying to globals. Like if they weren't to qualify to globals, something tragic in my eyes must have happened. They just look so nailed on. So I think they're probably our first S team.
Every season they look like the best team in EU until, you know, someone else just steps up and goes crazy. People got to start sleeping on Trulix, I guess. Pablo and Bevies. Pablo, interesting.
Pablo and Bevies have been like really good for quite a while now. Regardless, last season were they not top 10? Let me see, what was it?
They were weren't they like near the top until the last few games where they
they were in contention to win until the last 3 games last season. I played a tournament with Bevies, just as a side note, and it was just a rubbish little performance eval.
These weird flex.
It was Vico and Bevies, man.
So what I found funny about this was I said like that playing with Vico, there we go, was like, you know, he's the most reliable fragger, hands down. But Bevies was just like the most reliable teammate like I've ever played with. It was actually, you know, if you any of the zone wars we played, you play with pros, you know, sometimes you might get a little kill on one. You know, you're like, yes, I'm so much better than this player. You know, Bevies was just the opposite of that. So I highly rate him individually, and them as a team have been doing extremely well in FNCS specifically. So I would be surprised if they weren't. I mean, I'm putting them in A personally. I don't know how they've this season though.
So from what I've heard from Reese is that he's played with Vico, he's played with Bevies, he's played Zone Wars against pros. Like, what else can this Reese guy do, man? It's insane.
Unfortunately, I've also played Zone Wars with Boop, so
because you can't kill Boop in the Zone Wars. Bevies and Pablo are, I think, number 1 op for Savage and Mongo fans now, because they do happen to land at the Stark area with the drones. Again, one of those teams that, you know, they do good, but they do have the mishaps, and a lot can go wrong. I would be surprised to see them be contested by Savage and Mongrel this FNCS.
Why is that?
Why is that?
Because Savage and Mongo are winning the first game of upper bracket round number 1, obviously. So they have the pre-raid pick and are going to be picking Grim Gates. But I do think Savage and Mongo will probably move that spot. Is my idea. But I think it'll be them versus like Chap and Teeny potentially making grand finals. Which I don't know how that's going to go for them. But yeah, definitely A tier. There's no doubt about it.
That's my worry for them, is the landing spot. It feels like for some reason this spot is the most contested spot in EU for whatever reason. We've got the next few: Voxy, Floki, Teeny, Chat, Bevies, Pablo, obviously Savage and Mongrel. It's like, well, not all of them are making grands. I do think obviously.
Is that your words, not mine? Your words, not mine.
Okay.
I think they're all making grands equally.
Yeah,
Interessante.
everyone on this list is making grands equally. Let's all be nice.
Put them all in B tier. Just everyone in B.
Yeah, everyone is equally as good. So
There you go.
Yeah. Not equally good. I'd say there's a few that are slightly better than the other three, that are winning our spawn every single time. So
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Move on.
Teeny and Chap, I guess. Do you think Teeny and Chap are better or worse? Obviously, because this is a newer duo now, right? Because Chap's teammate got out of there.
killed.
Whoa.
No, not killed. I hope not, at least. And now he's playing with Teeny. What do you guys make of these guys? They played, I guess, the performance evals. Did they do good in those?
I mean, they won dual Cash Cup finals. Like it was
did they?
the most competitive dual. I mean, I saw a whole Twitter thread with Teeny arguing with Flixie about why he was the GOAT at in the dual Cash Cup finals that he won.
Those games were stacked, though. To be fair,
the games were very stacked.
Yeah, you couldn't shoot anyone.
Yeah,
No
the zone rule
People
Cash
die.
Cup was looking really good.
It was the 17 kill win at the end was impressive. Like they have everything that you need.
I'm more surprised that you guys know who won because you kept watching. Like the shit started lagging, and I was like, all right, I'm off.
I think
Content.
I'm
it's
done,
hard not to
mate.
see on Twitter when you just got a thread of about 5 different people arguing why this Cash Cup didn't matter.
Yeah, fair enough.
They're probably
Yeah.
slightly worse than Bevies and Pablo.
I think the real question is how the hell are these guys going to play? Like knowing how Teeny plays, like what is the game plan between these two players, and what the heck? What is that going to look like?
I think that's scarier. I think
I know,
Teeny's chat with chat is actually like top 10 scariest things we've seen in EU FNTS in like the past year and a half. So these guys might be the best team on earth come the end of Grand. Like we might be sat here saying these guys are the best. Or we're here sat saying what were they thinking? And I really don't know where they'll be at. I think it'll be either or. I don't think they'll middle out. I think it'll be either or.
Oh, so what? Are we either putting them in A or C? Is that what we're doing? Because
Nah,
the boring answer is put them in B, and yeah, they're going to make grants, but it's like, where do we actually think? Are they going to, do crazy, get such high kill games, and that's all that's going to matter, and they're going to get A, or is it they're going to flop and get come C?
The mystery of it is like, is Teeny even like maybe we keep thinking as Teeny as this controller player, not a great controller player that like loves the camp, doesn't know how to play Surge, but like, maybe Teeny is literally Einstein, like he might be like the big brains behind everything, like because we don't know if he's like a goated IGL. He's done well in grand finals, he's done well in many things, but we've never seen him. We don't know the role that he actually plays, and he's to play with someone that's inexperienced like Chap is interesting to see how he's going to mold him as a player.
He was the one that came up with the whole like planning the routes they mapped out. Like their strategy seemed very stupid when they did well, when they came third, when Teeny came third in grand finals. But it was very planned, very calculated, very methodical, and very thought through. And I think it was very different, which is an innovative, which is really rare in Fortnite generally. So like, as far as I mean, clearly the rest of the performances haven't been great. Right? There's obviously some talent there, and there's obviously a different level of thought process. Whether it works out some tournaments, others it's a total disaster. We never know. But I'm always interested to see what he cooks up. So I'm sure in that he will be. I'm sure like if he can create that kind of game plan, he can figure out a surge base.
He can figure out a surge base.
So I think for the boring answer, we'll keep them in B for now.
That's boring though. We can
readjust. Okay. I also don't know how to add another tier, which is why I'm stalling adding another tier. Voxy and Floki.
Cogwheel.
Voxy and Floki is
landing on Savage again, number 1 op of Savage again. Floki last season also landed on them, but Floki didn't make grand finals, so the Savage fans and Mongo fans were very happy about that. Just to be landed on by another team. I think Floki Kiri were better. I'm just gonna put it out there. I think Floki Kiri were the better duo when they used to play. I don't know if Floki Vox have the same aura.
The chat are
I'm not sure.
unanimously spamming Fs, and I don't know if this is because we just have all the Mongrel and Savage fans
Yeah.
in the world here,
We
or
do.
whether the chat genuinely believe they are bad.
No.
I can't. Oh no, I think I figured it out. 2 dogs, put them in F. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
Wow.
think this is objective analysis from
Yeah.
the chat right now.
No one
do
wants
not
to
think
see
it is.
Mongrel and Savage shine, to be honest. It's just they see them landing somewhere and everyone's like, yeah, we'll land on them. That's it. And that's all their thought process is. You know, no one wants to see them shine. No one wants to see Mongrel win again. It's just sad, to be honest.
Just a collective hatred for Mongo and Savage,
It
honestly.
must
Like,
be.
it's cringe.
Yeah,
I
it must
reckon you
be.
just use the Destiny Jesus logic and just put them in C.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree. I don't think Floki and Kiri were better though. If you watch their comms were not a lot. There wasn't a lot of communicating happening when you watch them play. It was a lot of broken English.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with broken English. But all I'm saying is it's hard to
English isn't their first language. It's not their fault, Harry. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's hard. It's hard for them to play as well because they can't communicate as easily. That's why I think Floki and Voxy might do better. That's all.
All right.
That was
Volker
someone
and
French
Vortexes?
saying they should go in A.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mhm.
Well, tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Volker and Vortexes. If Mini Miner was here, he'd be putting them straight in S tier.
Is that his team? Is that his team?
Every single broadcast, mate, that we did, like when Volker and Vortexes came up, it's just Mini giving them like the biggest praise. And I genuinely am convinced that like they were sliding in money under the table to big them up because it was just insane how much.
It's the Kiwi
praise he was
Gal
giving
cash, man. That's what it was.
them. Still bloody waiting on it, mate.
the only one that does.
No, but Volker and Vortexes. Where are we putting Volker and Vortexes?
They're so B. They're just so B. They're just.
So
they are.
B.
They just are so B.
They just emanate B aura.
They do.
Emanate
They
B
do,
aura.
like,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
They're 100% making grands. They're gonna make. They're gonna make some end games. They're gonna have some fun, and they're gonna come 20th, and it's gonna be a good time. And that's probably where they're gonna end up. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Like they could in some round finish higher. There is a lot of things that could happen which would benefit them, but you look at the players in EU and then you just compare them to the other duos. I just can't see them being better than. But there's a lot of duos on here I would probably put better than Volker and Vortexes.
They lack. I think Minimine is an avid Boot fan because I was hyping them up a lot last season, and I thought they were legitimately a team that was going to get like top 5 because they were looking like they were trending upwards, and they were one of the most consistent duos in EU. But they do seem like they do lack a bit of star power, a little bit of confidence, and I don't know why they don't do as good as they started out in the last season, at least in FNCS's. The draw spot is interesting though. The drop has everything that you would ever need in a draw spot. It has forecast tower, it has a bunker, it has the dashes to the north as well over at Piazza. But they're not the team that they're not them when it comes to offering those two things. They're not going to be beating some of the better teams that are nearby in fights. I feel like in 2v2s, and they're not going to be the ones that are beating at the bunkers either. So
I think I think the main problem with what you're saying is they just have no firepower in comparison. If you look at any leaderboard of them on it, they have a good plan, they've got good strategies, but look at average elims against average placement against the people around them on the tournament, and they're almost always way low down. And in a current meta, having a low average elim is just not going to make it out for you, In whether it's going for bunkers, like you said, Boop, you need to get some form of refreshes, whether it's end game fragging to win games. I don't know. I just don't. I'm not rating them that high this season right now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on to the next.
Sorry, Mini Miner.
We'll try to speed through these. I'm sure Mini will be all right. Sky and Scroll. Sky and Scroll. What do we think about Sky and Scroll? I think they're also landing at where are they landing?
They're landing on Janice and Flixie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sky and Scroll. They're one of those teams that are upcoming now. You haven't really heard of them yet until last season where they actually made, I think, their first grand finals, I believe. I'm not fully sure about that, but you haven't. They do okay. You see them always in the Duo Cash Cup finals. You always see them in the Evo Cup finals. They do make it there, but they just you don't know too much about them yet to put them anywhere near the top yet. They're solid.
that I think they're pretty good. You watch them play. They do have a decent understanding of the game. Their inexperience showed in grand finals last season, to be honest. But as Boop said, they're up and coming. They're landing a decent spot. Probably when it comes to grands, they'll dip as they did last season. They'll land somewhere else, try and get uncontested. But like it's weird because I probably would put more faith in them than Voxy and Floki. Maybe chat was right putting them saying Voxy and Floki an F because no, but it's I think Sky and Scroll up and coming. I wouldn't guarantee them in grands, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did make it. I'd be like, okay, they did it again. That's good. They play well.
I think they'll probably make grands. I feel comfortable putting them like low B. I think they'll probably make grands. I don't expect much on them in grands, but I think they'll probably make grands.
I'd say also Score is the person who has the worst marketing ever. That man plays with all of his weapons on Score Wheel and all of his builds on Score Wheel, and nobody knows that. That's why his name is Score.
Wait,
I feel like this guy
can't be real.
No,
can't be real. I need to watch. I need to get.
I swear, if he made a TikTok of him having gameplay with that shit, he would blow up. But he is the worst marketing ever because he's a genetic anomaly the way he plays. I don't know how he does it.
No. I have to go.
Wait, he does. Wait, I've got a video. I'll put it.
Yeah, his teammates in chat. Sky's in chat.
He does. I'll put it in the.
There's no shot.
Yeah,
there's no way.
I put it in the Discord. Put it up.
Dude, that's what I mean. Nobody knows that. It's insane that he's able to do that.
That is the worst binds I've ever seen in my life.
And he stream sniped me in a solo cash cut once. That too.
Unacceptable.
Yeah,
deserved.
Yeah.
Wait, he might be the GOAT.
He is the truth. He is the truth.
Wait,
how is
he
it?
might be the truth.
Bro, I can barely scroll wheel reset. How can he build every single build on that?
Crazy.
You said, imagine the YouTube video already or the TikTok.
I know, I've already written it in my head, mate. Don't worry. These are the worst binds ever.
Put him in S.
Put him in
S, bro. Top of S.
Top
of S, bro.
Heard about
this
that.
guy is the fucking GOAT.
What the hell?
I never knew this. That is great.
Told you, bad marketing. He needs to get his marketing up.
His movement must be insane on those binds.
I don't know.
There is no shot people can build like that, bro. There's just no shot.
Oh, Cammy used to do it.
Yeah, Cammy.
I guess he's winning the next man. Yeah.
Yeah. Do it in the FNTASIA Grand Finals now.
Chapter 1 and Chapter 5 a little different, but
don't tell that to a mongrel fan.
Hold on.
I'm just saying, don't. You'll get told. Gabix and Hydra, we got to speed through this because people are making me aware the Cash Cup is coming up soon, and we know.
I gotta get warmed up, man.
In an hour and 10 minutes.
All right, we got time. Gabix and Hydra, what do we think about these guys?
They're also landing pleasant. They're contesting Vulcan Vortexes. So, do we think they're going to be better off spawn? They might not be. I don't know if I'd say they're as good as Big Plan was.
No.
So
I think they called each other in. Am I mistaken that they called each other in grands last season? They split it 50-50?
No, that was Sky and Scroll and.
It was Sky and Scroll, right? Yeah, I guess you couldn't. Yeah,
I don't know. C, I'd put them C, I guess, because they're worse than Vulcan Vortexes. They're probably middle of the pack C. I wouldn't be surprised if they made grands, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. To be honest,
yeah, the semi-household names for EU now, but nothing like too special from what we've seen.
Yeah, I agree.
Who did Gabix used to play with back in the day?
Belusi?
Gabix and it was Gabix and Belusi. They used to land Camp Cuddle, didn't they? Contest Malibu Commerce.
Yes, he contested them. He is German, Italian, so speaks both, which is interesting. Yeah. He has dual options.
Interesting.
Got all the fun facts today.
Robin and Axforce, who we know their POI just got nuked. So how do we feel about their chances? I know we sort of talked about it earlier, but I guess in a bit more depth here. Robin and Axforce.
They tweeted their landing spot where they're going to land whilst we were live.
Robin,
Fast Roki apparently with
Robin Fast Roki. Yeah, Robin Fast Roki. They're landing bottom left. Where the forecast is, the three areas: the beach, the like red house, and like the plain area. So they're staying within the same area. But
Conin Vasca, well, it was Synod and Vasco, Synod and Yapko, whatever the duos are now. They're just dropping each other every day. But they're going to be hen realistically.
Yeah. They do look good. Watching Robin and Fast Ricky play, they do look really good. They're really, really good. If Yacht was here, I would put them in A. Like, I think they're really, really good. Watching them, like, consistent end games. Even yesterday, they were landing reckless in opens from what I watched, and it was end games, and they were doing consistently well. I just watched them, and it feels again kind of similar to how I'm watching Pick Team Watch. It's the same. Every end game is the same. You're watching the same things happen, the same sort of timings, the same everything. They just look very, very consistent.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have the right name in here. So in typical split team fashion, they're just going to have to hold an F for now. But,
can't wait for 5 questions in chat about it as well.
Of course, there will be. Of course, there will be. Astro and Art Skill.
There goes their drop as well. I don't know where they're landing now, though.
My question is, when's the last time Art Skill made grand finals? I can't remember the last time. It's been a while now. Am I just hating here?
I'm just getting hated on. No, I know
he actually made the first grand finals. Wait, no, did he? Ephesus Major 1. Oh, he got 13th with Astro. Oh, never mind then. I'm a hater.
We tried to make Boop the punching bag, and somehow Harry's become it.
It's just standard, you know. But no, I surprisingly haven't watched this team, so I have no idea how good they are. But last season, I felt like they weren't too bad last season. They weren't the worst team in the world. They were just, you know, I felt they were pretty decent. I felt like they're probably low B, high C, probably gonna make grands. Don't know what they'll do in grands though, but
I mean, no wall is safe in grands if they qualify. Realistically.
True. Depends if the DDoS are on it or not.
Yeah.
I
Ping goes to
invested
3
in,
though. Watch out.
Very early on, I invested in Art Skill stocks. I thought that guy was gonna be the next Nate or some shit, bro. You know, throwing it back. I thought that guy was going to rise to the top of the French scene and carry the French flag for years to come. You know, I'm still not profiting from my investment, but I still do have belief. I think the guy is really good, and I think they can be really good. And I've heard very good things about Astro. How that then translates, in the words of my friend Desi Jesus, when it comes to the French right now, it's not looking too good. But I think of the French teams, like I think these guys could be like one of the better ones that like actually doesn't, you know, or actually represents, you know, France pretty well. So the question is though, do we think that they are nailed on to make it 2 grands, landing where they're landing?
Where are they even gone now? Where they even
I'm looking
land?
at this map
On
for like
Keg,
10 minutes trying to
Map.
find them.
They are all the
They are
way
landing.
on
They were
on the
yacht
west.
as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I think they're making grand finals. I think they got 13th last grand finals, which again, I don't think one grand finals placement really says a lot, but
Especially
not,
last
it's
season.
not. I would struggle to put them on the same level as the other 4 teams at the top, just because consistency wise, it doesn't seem like it's always going to be there. So
Yeah, I think B is a good spot for them right now. We'll just put them in there. Gripey and Grolls.
I think they've split.
it's Gripey Kiri apparently, so straight
Yeah,
into F, I guess.
Yeah, straight into F.
Okay. Unlucky. Yapko and Syned.
Are they still together? I don't even know if they're now still together anymore.
They still-
This one might have to be.
Yeah, I
Really?
think it's Syned and Grolls now. I think
When
that's
did-
what they. That was in the performance
Or
cup, they qual-
Vasca or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
it's
any
just one of
combination.
those. Yeah.
So these guys aren't together. Great.
Yeah, just chuck them in F. Well, they,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Noah and Chino.
Are they still playing together?
They
That's what
are.
these guys
Has
are.
anyone
These guys are playing together. I think.
Okay.
Has
I'm
anyone
pretty
checked Aqua's Twitter in the last
True.
week?
Is
Chino
Have he
even
liked the
safe here?
Fortnite tweet?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, Chino's in a dangerous spot because if Aqua comes back, he's getting dropped instantly. You know, like.
Yeah, but like,
I'm not
Aqua-
convinced actually,
yeah.
but maybe.
Right. Anytime that happens, then they just don't do good. Like Aqua, I don't think Aqua and Noah have done good together. So I think Noah needs to commit to playing with someone else at this
They
point.
made
You know?
grands, but nothing special in grands.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than his name in grands was cool.
And thing is, like lately, Noah's been looking pretty primed up individually. But I don't know how well that's necessarily going to translate over into this season's finals. To be completely honest, I don't know enough about Chino. You should, Harry. You know,
Yeah,
after
no, Chino's good. It's just the main thing for him has always been like, how much is he playing the game? For a lot of Fortnite players, how much is he actually playing the game? But it seems like this season they're playing a lot of noble. They're doing decently well. I don't know how high their ceiling is, to be honest. Like, as in a grand finals lobby with all the talent we have in EU, I don't know how far they can go. But I'm landing at Snooty. I think landing same side as Vidil and Reason, actually. So might be a little bit of contesting going on there. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about them. They're kind of like a wild card for me in FNCS. It's really hard to pin down where they go. But yeah, maybe
30th.
30th?
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, maybe like
is that a fair assumption?
I think that's fair. I'd say like if they came 30th, I mean, it's an improvement for
It'd be expected.
Yeah.
And this is not landing windmill split anymore, Chino, luckily. So.
Yeah. He was
Anything is up in there.
contested by Phaser and King last season at Rig last season. Like,
yeah. Oh god.
Yeah. Awful. But yeah, C's fair.
C's fair. Okay, we'll put him in there. Vidil and Reason. Last season they led the way after day one of Grands, and then it all fell apart because they didn't get into a game, which wasn't great.
Fortnite, baby. Oof.
That is the game. But this season, are we hopeful of their chances?
Yeah, somewhat.
It's hard to put a number on it because like they always just do well without playing. You know, they're now pure content creators, even though they are professional players at the same time. The fact that they were even able to be in a position to win grand finals, I think not a single person expected. But you know, they have that consistency. They'll probably make grand finals 100%, and they'll probably shock us again. More than likely, is my guess. I don't know if they're working with BloodX still. I think they did work with BloodX last season, and it was actually good how fast they got out of Snooty to get early surge and stuff. But not sure how much they're committing to a coach now.
I think they benefit a lot, and probably will this season, from not needing to play that smart with the fact that bullet drop-offs in the game, so they can end up essentially the fights they take at the edge of the map benefited them more surge-wise than they would in previous seasons. And for the most part, they can just fight their way out of bad positions and bad spots anyway, even if they do get themselves in. And I think they're a shoe-in for an A slot here. Any lower, I don't think that's fair. S, I wouldn't put them in as a guarantee. Oh yeah, they'll be top 5, but I would not be surprised in any way if they were top 5.
I think that's fair. I think last season the meta benefited them a lot, right? Like what you're saying in terms of just like being able to run about and fight and not have too much repercussions. I think this season they'll struggle a bit more in that regard. And this season is like another season of not playing the game much. Like again, I'm sure Boop, you've noticed this. Like viewing parties end. You go to close Vidil stream, he's already on Valorant.
Yeah, like, straight on top of it.
You know, like so. You know, it's we'll see how these guys do. Andalex and Sato, another French team for us.
This might not be a team in C.
Yeah, I was gonna say they are.
I know it sounds insane, but they might not be a team that's in C in French.
Yeah.
No,
they're definitely better.
Last season, they did really good out of like the worst drop contested by 2 teams around them with minimal loot, basically. To 10th overall, whilst having a bunch of teams around them. That impressed me a lot. I have nothing valid on them to say this season whatsoever outside of that, but that at least showed me that they have some good potential, and I was quite surprised.
Yeah, they've pretty much quad to everything this season, to be honest. Don't know if they're not doing the best in finals, but they're qualifying to everything. They are just consistently up there. Like, what is it, like 27th in open, second in open, so it was a 64th, 36th. Like, they're just consistently, they're not having a bad placement at all. And they're, I would say they're a solid team going into Grands.
Yeah, they're hardworking. They've got a drop, probably uncontested from what I've seen. I think the only other teams land is potentially Freemark, but it's probably a non-factor when it comes to FNTS Grand Finals. I mean, Sato, it's always good when your teammate has cheating accusations thrown against them every single time. Right? Like you're feeling good at that point always. So, again, I'd say this is not quite A, but also not nearly in B as well. I'd say
high B then. Is it a high B or a low A?
High. I mean, A minus, but you know how I feel about the categories.
Okay, Kami and Seti.
See, I said at the start of the season when the meta was sort of the whole DMR meta coming in, I thought they would win. like you see the meta and how it's evolving. You see it's starting to suit them a little bit more. But everything I'm seeing is not filling me with a lot of confidence. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not convinced on their drop spot. I don't know if that suits them completely. But if there's ever a meta, well, this meta in comparison to last meta, this meta is 10 times better for them. And I think they should be in conversation for winning.
I think the S.
I think.
Wait, did you say the ass or S?
Yeah.
Oh no, S.
Oh, I think the S. Oh, damn.
No. I think the S. What were you gonna say?
I'm about to. This will be pure speculation, and I have not spoken to Seti at all about this. I'm always concerned when I see people be so successful, because I'm like, I want to know how much that affects their drive to play. I don't think it necessarily affects Cammy, but I want to know how much it affects Seti. I've not spoken to him, so I don't know personally. But they've had a lot of troubles in the past with putting in a lot of work and practicing as a team. In particular, going into the FNCS Invitational that they won, they were barely playing. From Seti's own words. So I want to know what that's like now, as obviously Seti's doing really well both on maps and on streaming, like grind a lot of time there. So I don't know how that's played into their duo performances and how much they're actually practicing. If they are playing a lot, awesome. That might be a reason why they're doing so much. He's got all this money, got all the success, and I can put the time into it. But I've seen other people go the complete opposite way. So it's a little speculation. I'm not sure.
So there's two bits to that. I'd say I believe BloodX is now working with Cammy and Seti again. I believe that is what is happening.
Awesome.
So I think that has put a pep into the step in terms of playing more practice. I can tell you from watching a lot of scrims in the past 3 months that usually when I watch scrims, it's Cammy that's registered and then it's Cammy playing with Paco and not with Seti, you know? To speak on what you were saying, Reese. But now it's Cammy and Seti playing together every single time.
Ooh, nice.
And you know, I am one of those that thinks their job isn't the best, but I mean, from speaking and asking BloodX, so he thinks he's pretty convinced that the spot's really good. So
Cool.
I do think they probably are going to be winning contenders this season, especially based off what we have seen from them now in Eval Cups. Like, they're on height every game, you know? And I hate to be like that guy on the FNTASIA broadcast who keeps harping about playstyle changes and stuff like that, you know? No offense. But, you know, they have slightly altered to be a little bit more aggressive to high ground in the meta that I think is very suitable for it. So I'm seeing a positive trend upwards from their poor performance last season. So
I also think all this conversation is just irrelevant because you just put Cammy and Seti in S tier every time anyway.
True. Yeah.
Google.
Yeah. I think they'll be good. I think they'll be very good. Tayson and Veno, I think they're similar. I'd put them in S. I think a lot of people are doubting them after last season. I've seen a lot of people talk crud on their names. I think the fact that they chose to stay with each other this season speaks volumes because there were rumors of them splitting before last season. They didn't actually end up having the best of seasons in Grands. They were second day one, but it fell apart. But they still chose to stay with each other. Should tell you a lot that you need to know. They've actually been playing the game a lot more.
Even when Tayson does good, he drops his teammates. So if they're sticking together, there's something there, you know?
Exactly. And as well, like, it's one of those things where they actually have been playing the game a bit more. Like, Tayson at least has been playing the game a lot more than he was. Like, early last season, they looked trash early on. Because Tayson just hadn't been playing. Tayson's been playing the game before FNCS has even started, right? Last season, it was like he was really starting to play a lot more like before Grants. So it's like, I think they should be a contender to win it all this season.
There's two things with that. First of all, Tayson has registered a scrim session, which is, you know, for those who know the rumors, it's unbelievable. Second, on the day that we were hosting ranked scrims in the elite level, he grinded until 4 a.m. playing ranked to be able to get the role, to be able to play the scrims as well. So we have unlocked Tayson 2.0. The software has been updated, and I think they are looking like an FNTASIA winner as well. Yeah.
And I think they have one of the best spots with fencing. Fencing's really good. Yeah. So
in comparison to last season at Grand Glacier, it's night and day.
Like
it suits the meta 10 times than what Grand Glacier did last season. They were just near no one, couldn't really do anything. Had a medallion if they're trying to sneak on anyone for Surge. It was a mess, to be honest. But
I think we should tack onto Snazy Podosai with this instead of Della and Wolvax, so they do land at the same spot. Speaking of fencing fields, because You know, Taste and Veno are #1 M8 ops as well. You know, they're doing
True.
hashtag M8 win when they beat
Yeah.
them 6-0 or spawn. Like they are dominating them over at fencing fields. It's not really that close, other than when it gets third partied. So it's interesting to see whether or not CZ Podosai stick to that draw spot or move, because they're also a grand finalist team, I feel like, as well.
Yeah, I think Snage and Pulis are good enough to make grands, but again, every time I've seen them fight in Taste and Venom, they've been bossed off spawn. So I don't see a world where it makes sense to stay there at all. So yeah, I think I'd put them in B.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I don't know how they'll end up doing. I don't know where they'll go, because I don't know if they should stay. Della and Wolvax. There's been people in the chat who've been desperately waiting for us to talk about Della and Wolvax. So
is it Della and Wolvax? Are they the ones in chat?
it might be. I've not paid attention to the names. It might be.
The Swedish are very, very passionate about their players.
Yeah. Wolvax, so I spoke to a couple of like creative, sort of like in, you know, the creative warriors and all that, and they say Wolvax is apparently an up and coming, like really, really good fighter, like apparently, and putting him with Della, who, you know, is a very solid IGL, done well with Pixie, obviously back in Chapter 4. I think they could easily be, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they're coming top, you know, 20 in the FNCS. They're the other side of Snooty to Vidil Reason and Noah and Chino. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them in Grands and doing well in Grands. I think they're a very solid team.
They're just game winners from what it seems like from Performance Cup. They've won games. They're top of the leaderboards in like the Opens qualification as well. And then I think when they made Duo Cash Cup, I think it was the same Duo Cash Cup. I think they also won a game. So the ticking all the boxes. It's just a matter of draw spot over at Snooty being contested by various teams that are very good as well, and probably a little bit more experienced than Wolvax by himself. So that is going to be a tough ask of them, and they'll probably end up moving to a spot that's less than ideal, but I'll put money on them making grand finals for sure, 100%.
Yes, same.
I think it's also hard to put anyone who's so up and coming. Like Wolvax has not made a grand finals yet, if I'm correct. Let me just scroll. Yeah, not a single grand finals yet, because obviously he's an up and coming player, right? If you look at his Fortnite tracker, his PR list literally just starts basically the start of 2023. So he's barely been competing at all. So, you know, to say that someone so new to the game will do good in grand finals is a bit of a stretch, but it's cool to see new up and coming players. I wouldn't personally place them I'd definitely put them in A. B, no. I've not watched enough to see. They look really good in the Performance Cups, but again, that's not even close to a grand finals level tournament. But based on what everyone's saying, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up doing good in grands.
I think that's fair. Mid/low B, probably fair for them.
Yeah, I think that's
Nebs
fair.
and I drop. I like these guys.
Yeah,
I really like these guys.
They're pretty cool. Yeah,
I think
I like them, but I feel they never do good.
I think
weren't they doing good last grands and then had like a bad last day?
I believe, yeah.
They were doing good last season, to be honest. They were doing good in general last season, and then it was sort of like, again, at like the final hurdle, you sort of fall. The conversations I've had with iDrop about like his general performance suggest that like he's a lot more confident now than he was. I think he knows that like over the past like maybe even like 2 years, he sort of had like lost the confidence, right? Because I remember when he played with Tayson and Savage, and he was getting a lot of hype then, and it was like iDrop's like next up, like he's gonna be one of the GOATs now, And I think from then on, it's like he sort of lost like a lot of confidence, and I think a lot of that is back now. And I think they've been pretty decent from what we've seen, the little we've seen from them this season. I don't recall them having too many like terrible performances. I'd go as far as to say I think they're good enough to sneakily qual for globals if
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Place for them.
I think iDrop is having sort of like his Fortnite midlife crisis, at least from what I see what he's doing right now, you know? Like he had that moment with Mappy when they had that beef, and like Mappy wasn't working that hard according to him, and he wanted to work really hard. And then they had that beef, and now he's found newfound success with Nebs because they're, you know, both grinding super hard. iDrop's trying to, you know, make more content, streaming things. Like he's having his midlife crisis, you know? He's buying a Porsche soon, more than likely, or something. So like it seems like he's definitely got a pep and a kick in his butt to like, hey, this is a very limited time that I have in this game. I need to start doing something to try to, you know, capitalize on it. And I think that sort of fire underneath someone is clearly working, and I think they would be a sneak global championship qualifier this season for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like they're the two players that over the last 3-4 years, or 2-3 years, whatever it is, two people have kept saying, "Oh, this guy is so good," or like, "This guy is so talented," like individually. And I've just like last season, where they came 11th. I hope if they manage to put it together and practice, we can actually see that potential that everyone keeps talking about in like a grand finals lobby together. I wouldn't be surprised if they were a top 10. I think they could be low A.
Yeah, I'd say
That's
low.
why I'd put them as well.
100%.
I'd put them low A as well. I'd probably put them a bit higher than these guys. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're not sorting it out properly. Before we get into the next team, are you gonna upload the whole thing as a video on YouTube? Yes, it will be available straight away on YouTube once the live ends. But yeah, it will be available to watch on YouTube if you've missed any part of it. Now on to the team that just really just has the worst luck in the world, Thomas and Queasy. How do we reckon those boys do? C. All right, man. I was going to stick them in the bottom of C, but yeah.
Yeah. My bad.
Move them along.
They should split, actually. Get them in that bottom tier.
How do you feel they're going to do?
S. Like, they're just going to be S tier.
Just move
There's no discussion on this.
Yeah. All right. I'm fine with that. Swizzy and Vanyak.
Oof. I feel, what's crazy about this is the team that I'm like has the highest. I was the highest. That's not too generous, but one of the highest potentials in terms of like individual skill level together. I had to look at their performances as a duo, and I was quite disappointed this season, to be honest. Because when I heard they started playing together, that was awesome. But the one tournament that they've done well in is the only Cash Cup that mattered. So the one duo Cash Cup that is actually counted, they played for second, which looks super good. So, the low key potential S tier. High A, but they could also massively flop come grand finals.
I put them same. Like I see them as kind of the same as I see Pink and Vico. I see them as like they could. I wouldn't if Pink and Vico did win a grands, right? I think there's a little bit of surprise, but you'd be like, oh, they're really good. Obviously, you're not too surprised. The same with Swizzy and Vanyak. You see them win a grands, and you're not going to be too surprised.
Agreed.
I think they're the same level as Pink and Vico, high A. I think they've got a good drop spot. I don't know how well it's going to be in finals lobbies. Too much being hard edge. They can just fight Moneymaker, the bottom right base, Moneymaker base, whatever it's called. Every game there'll be
just kill Moneymaker real quick.
No, just kill whoever that shit team is. That bottom right landing that spot. They'll kill them every game. But no, I think they're the same level as Pink and Vico. I think they're just really good, really solid.
I'd say this is Vanyak's first, and I mean this with absolute no disrespect to his ex-teammates, but I think this is Vanyak's first real opportunity for like a real shot at like a good FNTS. I remember like that one Vanyak clutch back with Karmi, that 13 kills or something. Like that guy is the absolute fucking truth. He is so good, and he hasn't. There's limited options when it comes to obviously language barriers and stuff like that. I think that's probably the main reason why he's stayed within Russian-speaking duos, and now he has someone that is, an EU FNTS winner, until he got removed, an Asia FNTS winner, and like an absolute fragging machine. I think this duo I'm very excited by. Their draw spot might be slightly messy, especially with an absolute cracked out locked-in team like Thomas and Queasy to the northeast. Like Battleground might have a lot of issues, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what they can do from there, though.
I've been waxing lyrical about Vanyak for so long now because like all of my favorite casting moments have been of Vanyak. And like you sort of alluded to, it's probably the first time in a while when like he has a teammate that can match his level in those insane like top moments in like a grand finals lobby. To be fair to Sinner had some really nice like clutches and moments last season grands as well, if I remember correctly. But Swizzy is top. So yeah, now I'm with you guys. I think these guys have a really, really high ceiling, and hopefully the drop spot's not too bad for them because they can do some scary things. Steno and Lucia, how are you feeling about the boys?
They're landing to the right. They're landing the spot, which will probably get keyed by Swizzy and Vanyak every game. That base down the bottom of the hill. I'm not sure.
Is that the worst spot in the game right
now? Windmills exists.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
True.
Okay.
Lucia's on keyboard now and has been since last season. So
It's worked
So-
out for him to some extent. Like he's actually done okay, but that team.
Do you feel confident they make grands?
I don't know.
No.
From that spot, no.
No, not that spot. The format is good though. Like the team that has good enough experience. I think they also make global championships. Remember, or maybe
They
it was
did.
invitational.
They did, yeah.
Yeah. So like they have experience. Like they should make it into grand finals. Just when I'm very surprised to see good teams or like relatively good teams pick a spot because like that you're picking that spot to get like bottom 30 in FNTASIA's grand finals. I don't know what you're seeing in that spot. Unless you're just very scared of fighting any other decent team.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So what? We put them top of C, low B.
Yeah, I think top of C is fair.
Top of C
Even
fair,
just looking at their like placements when they do make grands, it's usually like bottom 10. They had a 12, 40th, 12th, 31st. Not made it last season. So, yeah, I think that's fair.
QB and Loki.
They are doing pretty well this season from their spot. They're landing to the right of Mount Olympus on that massive hill.
I've seen them in a couple of games. I feel like they're decent, no?
Yeah, they are pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
They are doing well. Loki obviously did well last season. He won a game he won game 1 of Grands last season. He's definitely been on the up. And QB obviously another very talented Danish player. Denmark just have too many good players. Like it is a bit unfair on the other countries, but yeah, like at the end of the day, like I think they are probably again in the B range. Spot's good, gonna get some good surge on to maybe Mount Olympus. Obviously, Queasy and Thomas will figure some stuff out there, and their rotates from that spot are pretty good as well. So I think they're gonna do pretty well this season.
I think these guys are like a higher B team. I think they're a team that like could low key.
See, that's what I try.
I swear it wasn't intentional. I swear it was not intentional. But I feel like they're a team that could actually like pop off and surprise a lot of people.
Yeah.
Marius and Sangil. Oh, this one should be interesting because this is a team with all the hype in the world right now.
Marius is the best player in the world. So,
yeah. How do you actually think they'll do?
Okay, in reality, that's an A class team still. Like they were like 4th last season, when no one really. I don't think many people were really predicting them to do well. They've still done good this season in the Cash Cups too. All the signs are there that this is a team that can do good in reality.
Mm-hmm. The thing with Marius and Sangil is it just depends on whether or not Teeny's feeling devious this FNTASIA. Like the
TD in chat now as well.
Yeah, TD in chat, yeah. Like realistically, this team would have won FNTASIA Grand Finals last season if they didn't get griefed. I will probably die on that hill. I think the momentum going to day 2. Every game was absolute gold from them. But this season, I don't think they're really doing too hot from Underworld as much. The spot Underworld also is a little bit tougher to play. And they are running into
when it's not a solo cash cup.
Yeah, it's not a solo cash cup as well. The thing that is interesting though is that Marine broke his hand, which is their number 1 op at Underworld. So I'm not sure if the TikTok kids got to Marine or something.
Marine was getting bossed by Pump, who was playing on like 100+ ping in performance.
Pump's crazy off spawn though.
Yeah, Pump's
he's always been insane off spawn.
Pump and Rapid were bossing them off spawn. Maybe I'm wrong. I think
don't know bossing is the word I'd use, but
okay, no, they weren't.
They won a couple.
Okay, they weren't bossing, but when you're an NA team playing on like 100+ ping and you're winning, that's bossing still.
Yeah.
Even if you're not actually bossing, that's still bossing, But yeah, no, I think Marius and Sangil are an A-class team. It would have been hilarious had they won Grands. I'm just like I'm like still holding on to this. If another Danish player wins Grands before Thomas, it will just be actually hilarious. Like genuinely hilarious.
That redemption arc of Thomas is going to be insane.
Surely Thomas has to win his
prove he's the best.
He has to win it at a land, surely. Like he can't win just like a random major too. Like that's kind of like it feels bit of a weak storyline ending. He has to win the major. The perfect ending would have been last
in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Whole crowd and everything. It would have been
But Canada came along and ruined it all. So
Z Andy and Turtle.
So if we base this off of Twitch, Turtle is the best living, breathing human Fortnite player all around. He's literally carrying Romania on his back and taking them out. You know, like he's single-handedly saving everyone in Fortnite. Ziandi and Turtle, I mean, the placements have said enough. Like they've made finals, they've done well enough. They're fraggy. It's just they don't have that much experience, especially with Turtle being like a 13-year-old prodigy. Ziandi not really playing the game as much as you would expect him to be to have, which is always his Achilles heel. But I mean, I can picture them in grand finals. Like I don't see how they're not making grand finals. They are good in opens, I think.
Is this the first time that Ziandi has played with like another like high profile like Romanian player?
Has there been another high profile Romanian
player?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There, like, just in terms of like things like comms and like vibes and that, like I wonder how that would be for him. Like
Probably,
maybe that's an advantage for him, right? He's not had that in a while.
And they're also putting it up to Malibuka and Mustache at Grim Gates. Yeah. Like they put up a fight against them. Like they actually did pretty well. So
yeah, Ziandi made lower bracket last season and came 36th and 44th in it with Hellfire. So he obviously still has it. It's not like he's gone away for ages and he's not the same player he was. He still has it. But I don't know enough about Turtle to say whether he's good or not. I don't know if I'm convinced they'll make grands based off the other Grimgate teams, but it'll be interesting to see.
A lot of potential, but I think that's a C team.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah, that's a safe bet. I'd say C.
Okay, we'll put them in C. I'll put them somewhere. Who knows? Harisk and Skivvy.
These guys are crazy good. Like Skivvy is one of the best IGLs I've watched this season. Like he is his rotates, his managing of surge, his understanding an endgame, being able to play through low end. He's just a nice but he can play through low, he can play through high, he's a game winner as well. Like I really think these guys would do well. The only worry I have is their landing spot, but I was
going to ask you, how do they play for like Surge early? Because I've not watched them like in any early games, and is like Yacht gone? Like, does that affect them a bit? Yeah, like
they use the dash water a lot because they cover a lot of area really quickly with the dash water. So they use it for a lot of early surge, and then obviously with the dash water you can play for deeper positions as well. You just have a lot of options when you have the dash water, right? And I think they utilize it really well. They're playing all the noble sessions. They are hard workers. Skavi's now, he made the past 3 grands, I think, maybe 4. Last year he came 10th in one of them with I think it was Vacant. And he is I've been really high on Skivvy. Like last season, he probably should have done a lot better before he got contested. So that would be my only worry if they got contested or if their loot got cut off or anything like that. But if nothing goes wrong, I would be very shocked if I don't see them in top 15 or top 10. I'd be very surprised.
So we're saying that like a high B team could be a low A team, depending on
an A minus team for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, an A minus.
Fuck it. Let me just add A minus, bro. This brother don't stop.
You flipped it.
You flipped it.
Oh no!
Whoa!
Oh, it's getting worse. It's all going to shit.
There we go.
Press the cog wheel, then
There we go.
Well, don't delete row.
Add the row
below.
I think you delete the row, Reese.
I was going to make sure here.
What color do I make it? Do we make it like
You choose.
I don't really know. Like, it doesn't really. Oh, no, wait. This is
speaking to you.
No, no. Oh wait, no. This
a bit of
A
purple,
plus. This
maybe.
is A plus.
Okay.
A bit of purple.
This is a new one. We'll do A minus.
Yeah.
And the colors are really bothering me. Sorry, guys. I need to change this.
Take your time. We don't have a
don't worry.
No, sorry. Just keep talking, guys. Keep talking.
Who you got next? I can't see under.
This is gonna be Malibu Mustache. Yeah.
Oh, that's an easy one. There's not much discussion there. They're
champs. I was gonna say there is a little bit. There's a little bit. Are they the best Grimgate team?
That is a discussion I've had so often with my chat. Are Peanut Butter and Pollo now considered better than Malibu and Mustache as a team?
No.
I think that's fair.
But the way they've played, is that strictly NA Central being absolute dog shit? Or is it Malibu and Mustache just playing the spot bad?
I can be both.
How much of
Fair enough.
Malibuca Mustache actually played this season?
None. No
Saying that
consistent.
just that a team that's played one cash cup on NA is better than the reigning FNCS champions
two cash
is insane.
Yeah, come on. These cash cups are really skillful. You're
Oh
seeing
wait,
them.
there's no. We've played one cash cup because
We
other ones have
played
been
one cash cup,
cancelled.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, guys.
The level of players that qualify these Euro cash cups, all these underrated goats dropping 30 bombs, 40 bombs, legit players.
Okay, I don't want to turn this into like an NAU thing, but are we just not seeing like NA teams just not like even bother conning? Because I know Acorn and Cold conning, that's what everyone says, but when you watch Acorn and Cold, like that wasn't real. That was like a mirage to me. Like they did not look like it. Yeah, like it did not look like a team that had actually like tried. Like, okay, we are gonna do our best to really stop them. And on top of that, and a couple people are saying it in chat. When I woke up this morning, I saw some clips of Quanti bossing Peter Bottom Poyer off spawn. So
I don't know. It's ridiculous.
I want to interrupt real quick because something very interesting was just announced, which I don't know if you guys want to talk about, but a $250,000 female-only LAN was just announced, which is very interesting.
Why have they named it Milk Cup?
Yeah, I don't know.
Bro,
I mean, it writes itself.
Are you for real? Come on.
The
That's an
250K
insane
milk cup.
fucking name.
That's surely not. You guys
There's no way.
You
Come
guys
on, guys.
What a way to promote female gaming, I guess,
Oh my Jesus, that can't be real, man. What is that?
my-
They have to change that name.
They have to.
Wait, it's like grand finals on LAN?
Yeah,
It's a LAN. It's a LAN.
Holy!
That's kind of sick.
Alba's, whatever her name is.
Alba's
she is-
winning. Yeah.
She is. She's securing the
That's US only, which is interesting.
Ooh.
I got to lock
gatekeeping.
into the women's scene, man. I ain't been locked in.
That is literally like an FNCS, though. They have majors in it.
Damn, fair enough.
Milk cup.
All right.
Wait, but it's US only?
Yeah, it's US only.
Okay.
I cannot believe that.
I know it's women's only, but if they need some male casters, type shit.
I can't believe they sat in a room and they thought, what would be a good name for this?
The Milk Cup.
The
My God.
Milk Cup.
But why is it even called that?
If you go on the website, the website's called gonnaneedmilk.com.
So is that the sponsor?
What?
Like is
I
milk
think,
like
I
who's,
think
like,
it's a milk alternative. I'm pretty sure. No.
I don't
Bro,
know.
I feel tough typing gonnaneedmilk.com. Like I don't know what's gonna pop up.
Oh, so there are three. So I'm looking at this website. There are three majors. So it's like FNCS style, May 23rd, June 20th, and July 25th. And then a LAN championship in the fall of 2024. And it's trios, open qualifiers, and NA Central servers.
Why milk?
Do duos.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That is
It's the
wild.
performance drink of gamers, apparently, milk. I don't know.
All right.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
that is something.
I'll bring it up on screen if anyone is watching. But yeah, just like Group said, it's trio builds, 250k prize pool, 3 majors, 25k each, and the grands will be online for $175,000. I mean, that's cool. I think it's great getting more of the ladies into top level competitive, putting them in those environments. I think that's cool.
100%.
Yeah, I don't really.
Might need to change the name, but
Yeah, I'd probably change the name. But
I just can't wait to see the discussions behind that.
A big point on that though is a massive sponsored tournament.
Yeah,
that is a big sponsor giving away $250,000 for a Fortnite tournament to host an in-person event, which will be probably double that, if not more, in cost as well. So that's a good sign for the scene generally.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. Well, all right. Back to the tier list now. I guess I gotta
get warmed up soon, so let's get through this.
Let's get. I think the last couple will be easy. Malibuca and Mustache are putting them in S tier. Kiro and Kiruo conning Malibuca and Mustache. My thing with them, from what I've seen this season, is that they're probably better off spawn, but they're just not going to use those games as good as Malibuca and Mustache will.
Classic Malibuca and Mustache conversation right there.
Yeah. Is there a conversation that Kiro and Kidwo outplace Malibuca and Mustache in grants?
Yeah, I could see that after last season, after
I
doing
think
so
that's gonna
good.
happen.
Yeah, like the games, they don't die a bunch in last season as well, fighting Pink and Pico. I did not
Pink
say
and
that
Pico?
right. Pink and Pico. There we
Pink
go.
and
I
Pico?
said it in cor- Yeah, they had a bunch of really, really bad games after fighting them off. So they've clearly shown they can do well had they if they lose a fight. But of course, when they won the fights in those games, I guess they got forecast where they probably won't be able to get that this season. So kind of hard to say. But they showed a lot of potential.
Yeah. I'd say
Interesting.
top of A, like very much
Which A?
close to it.
Which A?
plus.
Which
A
A
plus.
now?
I'm
A+?
saying A plus.
Yeah.
I mean, their fourth place, third place was
Valid.
impressive,
Very.
and
Yeah,
I
I
think they beat Malibu Mustache. So
I think if you roll the dice, in most cases, Kieran Kid are going to beat them more often, but Malibu Mustache will still outplace. But there is a chance that it goes the other way, and Kieran Kid actually do manage to outplace them. And by the way, this is another reason why I think whoever in NA is available to con Peter Bottom Pollo should just con them. Because I think if you forget Peter Bottom Pollo for now, right? If you asked most good teams in NA, do you think you could get top 5 in a grand finals with playing only 6 games with the Grimgate coin? I bet most of them would say probably, yeah, I could get. So just prepare, con them. If you win half the games, even if you don't win half the, let's say you only won 4 games, which is being fair. Even with those 4 games, I reckon you could do something, So I don't know. I think someone should just con, and it looks like it's happening now with Conti, and it looks like they're even winning a lot of the time. So,
It might make other teams think, hey, maybe we can do that too.
Yeah,
true,
exactly.
true. Trippin and Phronoxy.
They're such a weird team to watch. They are just.
Sorry, go ahead.
They're just. I just never know what I'm going to get when I watch them. It's just like they are just so unique in the way they play, and their landing spot's also unique with the amount of options you have. I'm seeing people landing there going for the forecast South by Snooty Steps. I'm seeing people land there and go to Grimgate and try and get the coin. I'm seeing people just play position from there. There's so many options from that spot.
I feel like I always know what I'm going to see, and that's not qualling and then getting a 40 bomb and qualling every single tournament.
That's true, yeah.
Because like I opened my friends list when I was looking through the tournaments. When you go into tournament, you click friends, and then I was doing, me and DJ were doing awful. We'd played 4 games and basically died off spawn everyone. We had 50 points, and I looked and I was like, oh, we're doing better than Phronoxy and Trippern. They had like 40 points or something. They had like 10 less, and then I checked again and they dropped a 40 bomb, and I was like, oh, okay. I don't think we're catching up there.
No.
And it was the same the week before, where they were like doing worse than us going into the final game, and then they drop a 40 bomb and qual. So it's like, however that carries over to grand finals, I do not know.
How have they done in
they're
like
not
the evals
consistent,
and stuff?
they've been interesting. Their main goal every tournament is to third party whatever they can. It is that draw spot that they land that is the Phronoxy draw spot. Sneaking up on Stark, going to W Key Grimgates. They are the nightmare of the Grimgates teams, because the second that you fight it, they're going to be sneaking up and pickaxing into the box that you made. I don't know how much success that's going to have in like an FNTASIA Grand Finals lobby, because it's always going to be wishy-washy with how Phronoxy likes to play the game. But I mean, I'll be surprised if they didn't make grand finals.
Yeah, I think they're probably a nailed on team to make grands. It would feel weird if they didn't. But again, how well they do that, I'm not sure. So I don't know. I feel like they could be a high B team, maybe low A minus if you're being generous. Actually, look at some of the...
I think high B.
Yeah, high
B. B's fair. B's fair.
I think they'll make grands. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
I think they'll make grands, especially with the nature of this format. I think they should definitely make grands, but how they do that, I'm still a bit unsure of. So let's put them up here.
Yeah.
Eclipse and Dexy.
Yeah, they're a pretty decent team, and they haven't done well this season as much, to be honest. I'm just Rebels Roost. I don't know if that's it, to be honest. If that is the spot that it's going to get you into top 25s or top 15s or anything like that. But they had a really good end to last season, as in like obviously making grands, the good second day in grands. Like they're a good team. They have good fundamentals. Dexy's comms they're really clean. Like just listening to play, he clearly has a good understanding of how he wants to play and what he wants to do. But the ceiling for them, I'm not sure it's much higher than what they've shown, to be honest.
which is 14th.
Yeah, around about 14th to 25th is where I'd see them. Oh. Yeah.
Say no more, honestly.
Yeah, say no
accidental
more.
highlight. Yeah.
Oh my bad, I didn't mean to click on that one. So, Clip Index, where are we feeling to put them? Because I kind of want to get onto this last one.
Oh no. B, like mid B, I'd guess.
Like a mid B team. Any objections to that?
Yeah,
Boop,
mid
you?
B team.
Nope,
What do you feel about that?
I'll put the mid B. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's, yeah, I don't know. Beverage Brew sucks.
Yeah.
And now, for what you've all been waiting for.
Oh,
Yeah.
No. I'm just adding it in case anybody wants to use it.
God.
In case anybody wants to use it.
So
wait,
what was
sorry.
the reason that the F tier was there, just for reference?
F2 was there. You're not making grands.
in case Archie was in the list, I guess.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
case,
that's
in
okay,
case, 'cause,
yeah.
I didn't know what names were there, so I just somebody else made it, so I didn't know what names were there. But
Yeah.
I
just in
mean,
case you weren't.
yeah.
Is this with or without Blood X? Because I think that we need to make it a trio: Savage, Mongrel,
yeah.
Blood X.
So they are working with blood again.
Mm-hmm.
And my expectations are a little bit higher than what they were.
They are working, and like the only real value of working with blood is for them to make it 2 grands.
Yep.
And so it's like, yeah, it I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just worried when I'm watching them in high pressure games and Mongrel saying to Savage, "Can you heal off?" I don't know how to heal off. Like when I'm hearing stuff like that, it doesn't fill me with confidence. However, if I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, and if I am, being optimistic, those 2, better than anybody, know just how important it is for them to make grands.
Mm-hmm.
They've already seen the outcome of them making grands. I'm sure they have made. Okay, not I'm sure. They 100% made more than the winners of grands did last season from them qualifying
from every
and the
region.
content. Yeah,
combined.
from every region. Genuinely, probably from every region combined. Yeah, if you're looking at how much they both made combined, definitely more than every region combined. With that being said, if I'm them, I am putting every fiber of my being into quadding, like to a different level. Like, so that alone makes me wonder, like, maybe they do it, but I'm still just not very optimistic, man. I'll be real.
I haven't seen it this season at all, Maybe they're just maybe they'll pump it up and get it, increase it. But maybe I just haven't been spending that much time on Twitch. But I swear they're streaming less this season than they were last season.
They called yesterday, didn't they? They called last game.
They did qualify yesterday. Yeah.
If we could rate Savage and where we put him on the
tier list, we're rating Savage.
Then we put him up. But I mean, it's just what you say. It's just like they're gonna somehow make it. Like whatever we think about them, whatever we think about Mongrel as a player, they're just going to make it. It's written in the script. The script. It's like last season there was no way, no one ever thought they were making it, and they just did. And it's gonna be the same this season. That no one's thinking, there's no way they're gonna make it. They're gonna scrape through, maybe get to lower bracket, and then they're gonna qualify.
SCG's in chat said me and Reese outplaced them twice already.
Yeah.
Not good.
That's
been placing that good, man. Like,
It's just I don't know. They're just somehow they're gonna make grands, and we're all gonna
I agree.
Stupid.
I think the worst thing to ever happen to them, other than making money, was making grand finals in the first season playing together. I think that has already, that was the be-all, end-all goal for them, is to make grand finals and to prove that, hey, Mongo can make a comeback and make grand finals. And then they did it, and then now it's like that fire has kind of gone away, except in the last 7 days when they've now played every single scrim and doing everything. But the question is, have they left it too late? And I don't know. I mean, they made Eva Cup yesterday. It wasn't the greatest performance we've seen from them, but I think in this format and with the experience and Savage, playing, I think some of the best Fortnite he's ever had since last season as well. I find it hard to not put them to make grand finals. I think they'd have to really mess up to not make grand finals with the format.
it's funny you say that because I agree. Savage is playing better than he probably ever has, really.
Yeah.
But it almost feels wasted because it's like if he was playing with some of the guys in like the A categories, which I think a lot of them would probably play with him willingly.
Yeah.
I reckon they could. I reckon he could be in a shoe into call for globals, right? But it's like, yeah, man. I think where you put them, whether you put them C or F, really, I think it comes down to how much you rate BloodX as a coach.
Yeah,
that'd be F then, for sure. F then, yeah.
I think however you think he is able to impact them determines whether or not you think they are C or an F. And in that case, I'm more inclined to say C.
Yeah, low C. I'd say better than Voxy and Floki, and yeah, I think I don't know. It's just it's a trio, and if the trio does well, then they'll do well. I don't know. It's just watching some of the things that happen when they're playing with how much it feels like Savage has to do. It's I don't think there's a conversation where I don't think we've seen a disparity in a duo skill make grands ever, like this big of a difference in the duo skill. Because if you put Savage with someone of Savage's skill, you're probably saying top 10, top 5, probably easily. You put Savage and Marius together, well, you're saying they could probably win. We're talking about them not even making grands potentially.
Put Mongrel and some of the Mongrels level together. It's a quick little F.
Yeah, it's a quick little
F. So what, you guys reckon here? You think here's a fair spot for them?
Yeah.
They could make
maybe
grands.
above Clement, I'd say maybe, but
you put them above Clement?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Make the Mongrel fans happy, move them above a couple of French teams, and it'll be good. But yeah.
Interesting.
They're going to be the fun team to watch.
Are there any initial changes before we end off here? Because we got to end really soon.
Yeah.
Are there any big changes here we want to make to how this looks?
Teeny and Chap may be up a little bit, but that's about it. I think they're
Teeny and Chap?
below CDB.
Yeah, I think Teeny and Chap a bit higher makes sense as well.
Maybe tripping for Doxy above art skill potentially, but it's not consistent. And then maybe Sky and Score into C would be my other thing, because I think we're putting too much weight onto one grand final score for them.
Yeah,
and Illusion are equal to him. Yeah,
we're just so enamored by the fact that he plays with Scroll Wheel only. We're like, he's a B player. That's it.
Yeah.
Delete the show to make it look better.
Beautiful.
All right. I mean, would you reorganize the top in terms of like the how you rate these guys so far?
So yeah,
I would.
How would we order this then?
Trulux, Chicho, Tayson, Vano, Kami Sedi, Queasy Thomas, and Moses Malabuka.
Yeah,
maybe Kami Sedi swept with Thomas and Queasy.
Yeah, I agree.
So like this?
Maybe Thomas and Queasy swap with Kami.
You sure not Thomas and Queasy above Tayson and Vino right now?
I think mid-map Josh spot's looking too good this season.
Yeah,
okay.
I think Tayson and Vino, I'd put them above Thomas and Queasy.
Okay.
I actually would have it.
It could, like the way they've been playing, they could, but like I'm putting history here.
Kami and Seti, just by faith in them, would put them second.
Same. I want to put them here.
Because I think this meta is going to suit them 10 to like last season's meta was horrible for them. It was just watching them play looked like the worst I've seen them play in a long time in the grand finals. And
the fact that they then ran back to BloodX tells you what you need to know, really, right?
Yeah, exactly. I would put them above Tayson and Vino. I have more faith in them doing well than Tayson and Vino, but I wouldn't be.
Reese, how do you feel about it?
I honestly hate doing top 5 predictions, especially when there's been one cash cup to base it off of. When you have teams of this caliber that are so interchangeable, because like it's so difficult to try and pinpoint any difference between them measurably without just being like maybe not, maybe Mustache Malibu could do good, maybe Queasy Thomas do good in this, I'll be real, I like it the way it is though.
Yeah,
I like it like this.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I like it like this. All right, well, that was fun. That was definitely fun. I can't wait for us to all be incredibly wrong and for all these guys to come back and like rub it in our faces about how wrong and stupid we are.
The tweets,
stupidest, dumbest people on earth. And if you feel like that, feel free to let us know. Be sure to follow at FNTASIA Podcast on Twitter. Be sure to follow all of these guys on, their Twitter, Twitches, right? You're watching right now live on either the YouTube channel or on Boop's channel. Be sure to follow Boop. He's going to be doing a viewing party for the Cash Cup right now, so be sure to check him out and watch him for that. Do you guys want to, give yourselves any sort of self-plugs right now before we wrap up?
Of course, follow the big dog.
The big dog.
The big dog.
I think that's about it. If you want to, get a bit smarter but not much better, then you can watch my streams obviously every day. But that's about it.
You do stream quite early. That's I think the main
Yeah.
problem for you.
Good
You
times
got to
off.
maybe you got to.
But it's more fun that way, You get
Okay.
all the TikTok kids are at school. You don't have to deal with them as much.
True, actually true.
There you go.
Well, I mean, Boop, you got anything yourself?
No,
You
I
wanna
think
plug?
we've said enough. I actually disagree with the Mongo Savage takes everyone had. I think the A tier, I think these guys are just haters. They're gonna win this FNTS. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
W sellout. Well,
Mhm.
I hope you guys all enjoyed what was the first of many more episodes to come of the FNTASIA podcast. It's been an absolute blast. You'll be able to watch this straight away on YouTube. If there's any parts you missed and you wanna, if you wanna just crank while you listen, in creative, you can do that. It will be available to listen to on Spotify and Apple Podcasts very, very soon. Hopefully by the end of today, if not tomorrow. So just check out those as well. And I'll see you guys all very, very soon. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Peace out.